Assassin is a nickname, or should I say the moniker? Yeah, you know I spit flames, just standing like a moniker. Gotta be the rawest rapper, and it's a jaw snapper. I ain't gotta run and hide, I'm not the one that laws after roam where I wanna roam. I could be up in your home when I pick up that chrome. You lucky it was that microphone. You been out my competition, you better stop and listen, cause I'm causing a collision. Spin bars of ammunition, simply no sympathy. Light them up like a Christmas tree, burn them down to the ground. Told them not to freak with me. This is just the introduction, better duck and catch concussions. Get a grip, your throat, I'm clutching. Kill them off with no discussion. Gripping the mic like a torch, watching it burn, watching it scorch. Every verse I spit with force, and enough mics up in the source. Artists and arsonists, you dealing with a professional. Father, I have sinned, and this is my confessional. Lord, please forgive me, I need to change, but ain't no mercy in my veins. Burn these rappers, burn them with your flame. You fools should be ashamed. Lord, please forgive me, I need to change, but ain't no mercy in my veins. Burn these rappers, burn them with your flame. The game will never be the same. The rap game is so irrelevant, I am so intelligent. Better give me some room, I'm a mother-friggin' elephant. Spin bars with no remorse, I hit him up with deadly force. You're no match for this lighter, time for you to pass a torch. Told you that I bring the flame for the lames in the game. Only reason I came, to put something up in your brain. Every rhyme is by design, if I'm lying then I'm dying. Like I ride with dynamite, that's enough to blow your mind. To the ones that boast the most, every rhyme you wrote provokes. So before I let you roast, I'ma be sure to choke your throat. When will you ever learn? Feel the heat and feel the burn. Time for peace to be concerned, or rest in pieces in the urn. You will never rest in peace, this is just my specialty. This is not a game, and there will be no referee. So technically no technicals, bringing the pain perpetual. Father, I have sinned, and this is my confessional. Lord, please forgive me, I need to change, but ain't no mercy in my veins. Burn these rappers, burn them with your flame. You fools should be ashamed. Lord, please forgive me, I need to change, but ain't no mercy in my veins. Burn these rappers, burn them with your flame. The game will never be the same. Born to be a rebel, so it's a must that I rebel. You are not on my level, all you suckers burn in hell. When a flame appears your flesh for real, I put MCs to rest. You can proceed to breathe. Ain't enough air left in your chest, laughing as I watch you die. No water to put out the flame. Why don't you go ahead and cry? I bet that you wishing for rain. Now it's very plain to see, I told you do not play with me. If you fake, you burn at the stake. You are not who you claim to be. You ain't a killer, so stop fronting. Revenge is like the sweetest joy. Next to nothing, no mercy for the weak. There is no sympathy for the ignorant. Think before you speak, you put yourself in this predicament. I have no friends, so I chose to roam alone. It's all for you to conjugate, so I confiscate your microphone. We reached the end, so I'm grabbing on my testicles. Father, I have sinned, and this is my confession of forgiveness. Lord, please forgive me, I need to change, but ain't no mercy in my veins. Burn these rappers, burn them with your flame. You fools should be ashamed. Lord, please forgive me, I need to change, but ain't no mercy in my veins. Burn these rappers, burn them with your flame. The game will never be the same.
Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about a believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Well, nobody else could make a decision but me because I was the president. The final decision comes to the president.
You know, it's easy enough for a Monday morning quarterback to say what the coach should have done after the game's over. But when the decision is up before you, and on my desk I have a motto which says the buck stops here, the decision has to be made.
And so, my my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I could say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yep.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think you've been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and casting specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you retired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent now says he'll raise them as a last resort or a third resort. But when a politician talks like that, you know that's one resort he'll be checking into. And my opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no. And they'll push, and I'll say no. And they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Look at you crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical.
Hold it. Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by. Will you shut up, man?
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
I ain't talking politics. I'm talking life.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life.
First things first. In this lame duck session, Congress has to prevent a shutdown by funding the government.
When he became the first president in the history of the United States to be indicted on criminal charges.
Just a few moments into his weekly news conference, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell stopped talking mid-sentence and froze.
Republican Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado is apologizing for her behavior at a Denver theater last weekend. It happened at the family-friendly show Beetlejuice. Surveillance video shows Boebert vaping and behaving disruptively with her companion in the theater. They were escorted out. Boebert blamed her actions on her pending divorce.
Can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself? He seems to attract lots of conspiracy theorists.
Well, let me tell you, you're a conspiracy theorist, and the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So,
what about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you talk? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Fired up LULAC members are accusing Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton of using voter intimidation for political gain in a series of recent raids on Democrats.
Let's just say Rudy Giuliani was not happy at all. Now, you know, he's got to pay a massive
issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for crimes against humanity.
You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame.
I just love you. No, that's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician.
on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Some people have nicknamed Senator Katie Britt the TikTok trad wife for her performance at last week's Republican response, where she came off as a bit of a caricature of a 1960s housewife.
We are just learning late tonight that former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender to police in Georgia.
Are pointing at a man named Judd Blevins, who was among the crowd that chanted, "Jews will not replace us," that day, and now he is a city commissioner of Enid, Oklahoma.
Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, and black folks found him relatable. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth.
2 weeks ago, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem was widely considered one of the top contenders to be Donald Trump's VP pick. But that all changed after the release of excerpts from her new book that have drawn criticism. One about her killing a hunting dog.
New details in Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing legal battle have been uncovered. The music mogul, who is currently in jail awaiting trial on federal charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution, to which he's pled not guilty, is facing several sexual assault allegations from over 100 people. And now one of his accusers has been revealed to be Anna Kane, the ex-wife of NHL star Evander Kane, in which she accuses Diddy and others of plying her with drugs and sexually assaulting her in a New York City recording studio in 2003 when she was 17. Per TMZ. Combs has since denied her allegations, according to the documents.
Of the man who was shot dead at the Trump rally has refused to speak to Biden and says Donald Trump has not reached out to her. Helen Comparatore does not blame Biden for her husband's murder when he died trying to protect his wife and daughter moments before an attempted assassination. Helen says her husband wouldn't have wanted her to talk to him because of their political views, but regardless of her support for Trump, her family has not heard from him since the events unfolded.
She said Kamala has one big advantage. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. No, I couldn't believe it. She said, I had never heard that one. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Mark Robinson has a Trump endorsement, is a conspiracy theorist, has espoused hate, is considered by many to be far more extreme than even the raft of right-wingers who come in under the sort of MAGA Trump era. He has compared gay Americans to, quote, maggots. He has quoted Hitler positively, including in the idea of racial pride in one's own race. That's a quote, a kind of supremacy quote. And he's made many other extreme, lying, hateful, and offensive statements.
A longtime local elected official resigned after he's arrested on charges of accosting a minor. Ken Pletcher, who has served as Delta Township supervisor since 2008, resigned Tuesday.
I have sinned against you, my Lord. And I would ask that your precious blood would wash and cleanse every stain until it is in the seas of God's forgetfulness. Thank you. Thank you.
It's the Trash Bag Human of the Week for the year.
Who will be the 2024 Super Duck?
All right, here we go. It's that time of year. It is the annual Super Duck for 2024. I am Venkat, and I'm joined, as always, by the world's most dangerous political panel. On the panel today, we got Ricardo. What's going on, Ricardo?
Hey, Venkat, doing quite well. Glad to be here, be a part of this whole production.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. And of course, as always, the X on the black political prophet amongst all mortal men. We got MD20. What's going on, MD?
Peace. What's going on? Hey, real quick, can I be heard?
Yeah, you can be heard. Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, if I got any audio issues, yeah, just let me know. Hey, great retrospective like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I just had to show everything from where we at from the beginning to where we at right now. This made sense. All right, so tonight is a special, prestigious night. Tonight we're going to be voting on who is the Super Duck. Who is the Super Duck of the year 2024? The absolute worst piece of trash for the year of 2024. So this year we have five nominees. So let's take a look real quick before we get into certain profiles. First up as a nominee, of course, the duck of all ducks, Donald Trump. This is his second nomination, second year in a row, Donald J. Trump. And of course, once again, we have Elon Musk also making his second consecutive appearance on the Super Duck. Here's a debut, a very brand new Super Duck. We're talking about Joseph R. Biden. Mr. Joe Biden, welcome to the Super Duck alumni. Also keeping the Super Duck train going, we have Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson on the Super Duck. And last but not least, the number 5, P. Diddy Combs, Sean Combs. All right. So before we get into the Super Duck, there are some honorable mentions that we would like to let's brainstorm. Like, out of the 5 Super Ducks that we have, I'm asking the panel outright, is there anyone that you would have liked to have seen on the Super Duck nomination? We'll start with Ricardo.
Who would have like that is not on the actual list right now, like the honorable mentions, or how?
Yeah.
I'm still a major fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She will always be, up there. But Matt Gaetz would have been like one of my top contenders. So if I was to go down the list, it would be like Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Turtleface McConnell that yesterday grew some balls. It was yesterday or a couple of days ago, grew some balls and did some subtle reads and jabs that who was coming in, saying that just going through some roll calls of what Reagan would have done, and I'm like, now you want to see all these things. So there's like those are my top 3 that came to my mind, but there's probably there's a plethora of like people that I'm forgetting right now.
Okay. Ricardo. I'm sorry. Thanks, Ricardo. MD, anyone in mind that you would have liked to see on the Super Duck?
Yes, sir. So, still my personal Super Duck, based on
MD, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. I ain't know what was going on. So my personal super duck, based on the events that transpired
You can hear him, Van Cat. I can't hear a
after the,
word.
Yeah, I can hear him.
yeah, I
I
don't know
can't
what's
hear
going.
him
I
on my
told you it was
side.
gonna be wonky. Yeah. I got my earbuds in because I ain't got my headset, so it's gonna be wonky. But in any event, uh, so my personal duck, based on the events of the election and the criteria of what makes a
Can't
duck
hear a
being
word.
just a trash bag human, and just utter stupidity. I have to be the 70 plus million people that voted for Trump. I mean, as a collective, it forms a mega duck. Just the utter stupidity and the
What's going on?
gullibleness.
Can you see? What y'all see something? Because I think I can hear Van Cat, but I can't hear MD.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I have no
I'm
idea.
not. I'm not sure why you can't hear him, Ricardo. I can hear MD loud and clear.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
still.
So that'll be an honorable mention for me. Just a personal project. The MAGA maniacs as a whole is would be mine, and just a tactical pick based on again the criteria of what makes a lame duck. We all know that Trump had his assortment of legal troubles, and based on the fact that he won the election, those are pretty much down the drain. A person that felt the full brunt of all of the legal battles was Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani should have been on that list. There is no other person that has went from the highest of highs of MAGA stupidity to now the lowest of the low, basically about to be homeless. Rudy Giuliani. You can't get more duckish than that. So those be my two honorable mentions.
And do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. We just lost Ricardo. I put him back on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, can you?
I can't argue. Ricardo, can you hear MD now?
I can hear him now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's probably what it was. Yeah, I can't disagree with what MD is saying there at all. Rudy Giuliani is that's a very that's a very astute pick right there, man. Um I would say like JD Vance would be an honorable mention. Um I would say right here, this guy, Tim Scott, for sure, with all the shucking and jiving and doing all these things to appease Trump. To this day, they only got one black. Now it just recently happened. One black person is in the Trump administration, and guess what position that person got? HUD.
Yep.
HUD. Every time a black person
The
gets
black
in,
job.
that is the black job. Every time a black person get in, it's straight to HUD. Here we come. Oh man. So I mean, he did so much. Him, Byron Donalds. Um, I mean, they just all just doing the shuck and jive move for Donald Trump, and he thought nothing about him once he got in. Donald Trump didn't think a damn about those guys. So I mean, it's kind of similar to what happened when the one black guy was in prison or jail, and he was just in there forever. Everybody else had gotten out. He was still in there. They'd never bailed him out or nothing, but whatever. Also, another consideration would have to be Mr. Alex Jones. You talk about Rudy Giuliani losing stuff. This guy, for for no reason, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense to disparage the family of those kids that got killed, and now he's lost his whole empire. I don't know what he's gonna do. So him and Rudy Giuliani may have to come up with a business together so they can get themselves out of poverty. You know, they got to hold themselves up by their bootstraps, you know, that type of deal.
When all else fails, I mean, they go to porn. So that's what the conservatives are famous for doing these days. So somebody release a sex tape already, damn it.
I don't know, but one other thing I want to say here is I don't know if you guys notice Ben Shapiro, the problems Ben Shapiro has been having. He tried to go on his show and talk about, we know the killing of the CEO to United Healthcare,
right?
And when that happened, Ben Shapiro went on and he went on his show talking about how he's so disgusted by the radical left for being happy and joyous about this guy's killing. Well, he got a rude awakening when he looked at his comments, and a big part of his viewership or base pretty much told him that he's unaware. He is not in line with the average American person. And it's not just the left that is happy about the killing. So as we talk about this, let's just go into it real quick. What are our thoughts here about that topic as far as the killing of the CEO for United Healthcare? What's your thoughts here? We'll start with MD.
First and foremost, again, legal. I got to pull it out. Here's the thing. The dude got charged with murder. He's a murderer. I don't care what your valor is as it pertains to the reason behind it. You're a murderer, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, there are some disgusting comments being made, mainly by lefty loonies that are venerating the act. Exactly. But what Ben Shapiro doesn't realize, and this is a problem with a lot of MAGA maniacs, they don't know what they're doing until somebody tell them that they're doing it. What does that mean? From an economic standpoint, not from a cultural, but from an economic standpoint, pretty much everybody is to the left right now. That's including lefty loonies and MAGA maniacs. A lot of MAGA maniacs just don't realize it. The MAGA maniac movement economically is a leftist movement. I don't know if nobody knew that or not, but it is. This whole campaign was based on leftist leaning economic policy, even though there aren't any as it pertains to Trump. But they don't know what they're doing until somebody tells them what they're doing. The consensus of healthcare in this country is that there should be one, either some type of public option, or two, just flat out healthcare for all. That's just a fact. Including MAGA maniacs. They may not realize they're doing it, but they're doing it. So that's exemplified in the comments you just made, Van Cat, with the Ben Shapiro video. When it comes to the entire situation, parts of it just don't make sense to me. Some people even saying that this ain't even the right person. I'm not going to put the tinfoil hat on, but I'm just putting it out there. Some people believe that this person is a scapegoat. He looked like the guy to me. You know what I'm saying? And also, they said they're doing the ballistics test on the gun that he had, and apparently he had some type of manifesto on him. We haven't seen it yet, but that's what's being said. Is it a messed up situation? Yes, it is. And I'm so happy that you brought this up, Becky. I didn't know if we were going to get to this tonight because I really want to hear your thoughts on it, because it seems like a classic case of class warfare. Funny that it's a classic case of class warfare because all the information that's coming out on the guy saying he was a spoiled brat, highly educated. So what was his modus operandi? You know what I'm saying? He ain't dealing with no healthcare situation. Everything that he got is paid for.
No, MD. Actually, he did. He did.
He had the back
He had an
problem. He had
injury.
that paid.
Yeah.
Is it a healthcare problem, Van Camp? Keep
I
it in
mean,
context. It's not. It's
uh,
not, and you know it's not.
is it a chronic disease? No, but it is an injury. So,
What? Hell, everybody get boo boo. What they got? Everybody don't have the same. Everybody don't have the same conduit to pay for him. He does. He
yeah,
had no issue with the healthcare industry, is what I'm telling you. Not
yeah,
like your average Joe, me and you would may have. He didn't have to worry about this thing. His family's worth tens of millions of dollars. He don't
yeah.
got no issue. So I find it weird that he chose to fight this fight. Again, that's not to say that you can't show sympathy for somebody else. Of course you can. You know what I'm saying? But it's just I don't know what made him do this. Hopefully it comes out at some point in time. But in I guess in the case of how it's being presented and how certain people are exalting the dude, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it one bit. You know what I mean? And you can say or have your opinion on what you may think of the healthcare industry. That's fine. But to exalt a murderer is I can't rock with that. I just can't do it in any circumstance or situation.
So, MD, when you look up, like how many people dies from rejected procedures,
I'm just gonna chime in as well.
and you add all that up,
MD,
it is in the
it's
thousands upon
if I'm not sure
thousands.
if you were you able to go on to like Twitter or social media after the whole thing with him, when looking for him at large and all of that information coming in about what he may look like, and he had a bag and there was Monopoly money inside of his bag, and he put it back to the side. It almost weird. We're trying to make it a vigilante kind of like
Oh,
this
Ricardo, you're
whole
breaking
thing.
up real bad. You're breaking up real bad.
Very weird and strange to me because, and sorry to veer off topic a little bit, Van Cat, but it's like they're almost praising the dude, one, and two, it's almost like they're putting him on a pedestal, which is another strange thing to me. And then there's another thing where they're like online going on about how he's good looking, and it's like, really, society, have you guys really lost your mind that much that we're that fickle to be going about how this dude is like good looking and all of that crap, when he literally just took a man's life, a father at that, of two kids with a wife? Like it's bizarro 101 with this country. Nothing seems to make sense anymore. But this is where we're heading into for 2025. I'm kind of like really lost for words. But again, if this is a situation, and don't get it twisted as well, I see a lot of CEOs that are in charge of the healthcare systems taking off their pictures off their company's websites. They're that terrified. They don't know if this is like a thing where it's him or there's going to be copycats. But again, like MD echoed in the beginning, maybe the healthcare industry needs to come up with a public option. It was always on the table, but the Republicans said no to it. So if there's ways to try to, assure the general public as for how to either appease us, because again, people in Congress or in government are getting free healthcare, but look at the regular folks that are on the low end. This might end up being, again, like MD mentioned, a classism thing where people are really now questioning the motives of why these CEOs are having high multi-million-dollar payoffs while everybody else is suffering. So it's like bizarre 101, but there's a lot to question here. But I digress.
Yeah, for me, to answer MD, as far as like what my thought period is, I don't care about the guy getting killed. I don't. Straight up, because nobody utters a word with all these people that have died due to being denied for something they're paying in for all year long for multiple years. Then when they need it, they devise ways to cut them off and not pay them. Then it results in a death. There's thousands upon thousands of people every year dying because of denied procedures that these industries do. And that guy happened to be the CEO of the company that does it the most, more than any other company. So he got some buckshots in the ass. And at that point, now we're like, woe is me. But I just don't understand how when an aggressive action that can be seen and looked up and down, that has more weight than the subtle killing of thousands upon thousands of, let's be real, lower income or people that don't have money, because if they had money, it wouldn't have been an issue. And it just seems like one rich life is way more important than hundreds of thousands of other lives that live under the rich status. So I'm not putting him up on a pedestal as far as like, oh, he's handsome and oh, he's this and that. But the people on The View tried to discredit the actual act itself, meaning something. Like the guy died, he's going to jail, and then that's it, and nothing has happened. Well, it's funny that they said nothing happened because one of the insurance companies was trying to take away a benefit, and then that killing happened. And in less than 24 hours, they reversed course on that decision. Bad things happen all the time, but we just seem to be, as a country, okay when bad things happen to people of below means or that are not powerful. But this guy took some slugs in the ass, and we actually got people caping on this nigga. If he wouldn't have done what he did, if his company wouldn't have had the strategy that it did, lives would have been saved. A bad thing happened to him, I'm not gonna look here, man. When I get in my car and I start driving, the wind will dry my tears. I don't feel a goddamn thing for this guy. And to be fair, this is exactly the stuff I talk about. Like, you can't have a peaceful place and be good in life while simultaneously screwing over other living beings on the planet. So if you do something negative and then you get hit back again, I don't care. You started the whole thing. So he knew what he was doing. They knew the statistics of the death rate and all that other stuff that happened as a result of his policies. And somebody took it in their own hands. Do I want to see people going around like Mad Max times and doing that? No, I don't want to see that. But this is probably something that's going to come across the minds of the CEOs when they make certain decisions, because they're taking for granted the basic average American on a daily basis. There's got to be some repercussion somewhere.
Okay, let me push back on that, because you said a lot there. So
okay,
for the longest, since I've been socializing with Van Cat on this here digital space, I've called him a communist, a socialist, all that. He just confirmed it tonight, folks. Van Cat is a Bolshevik. You can say you don't want to see people being slaughtered, but you don't mind if it happens. That's basically what you just said. It is what it is if it happens. You can't, come on. You can't do that, Van Cat. Come on, don't be a savage, man. You better than that.
No.
You better than that. And folks, you brought up the anesthesia situation, right? That didn't happen because of this assassination. Those people that were insurers put pressure on that company, and they were just gonna outright drop their premium. That money put pressure on that insurance company to say, okay, we gonna fall back on that. That's what happened. So I've heard that rhetoric being put out there as well, like insurance companies are being scared now because they don't want to get shot in the face outside. Bro, these people got hundreds of millions of dollars. They're just high security. Nothing is going to happen from a policy standpoint from this situation. Nothing. The way you fight it is in court and in Congress. That's the way you fight it. Until you can get the proper people in place to fight that fight, you're going to continue to lose loved ones. And we all probably have a story of somebody close to them, or at least on the second hand,
Yep.
being lost when we think they could have been saved. We all have that story. So I'm not disassociating myself from the situation. I'm not doing that. I'm saying going and shooting a CEO in the back is not going to help. It's just not. And to think that that's a possibility is a Bolshevik attitude. And you're a Bolshevik, back at Comrade Bankhead.
Hey. No, man, no. I just say if you're doing some crap, especially when it's so one-sided, right? Like one rich guy died, hundreds of thousands of regular Americans died off of his decision. I don't care. Like, why didn't he have the thought process to? Because you can make money without screwing over the public. I mean, they will still make tremendous amount of money. So it's just to hell with it. As long as the deaths happen in that around the wayside area, instead of it being outright flat aggressive action, then it's okay. And I just don't understand that. To me, it's the same thing. It's actually worse. It's not even the same thing. It's actually worse.
Backhat, keep it real, Backhat. Should healthcare insurance companies exist?
No.
Okay, then. So everything you just said was mute. There's ways to make money, blah blah blah, this and that. No, it's not. You don't even think that the company should exist in the first place. Now, I mean, there's an argument for that. I'm not saying it's not. There's an argument for that. If you're the person that believes in centralized healthcare, fine. We can argue it all day, but I'm not going to sit here and try to put stumbling blocks over the situation. I'm saying just be real in the fact that this is a political strategy that you think needs to be relevant. Shooting somebody in the back is not going to help that strategy. It's just not.
I'm not saying to go out there and do it, but it happened. But I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, I wish it didn't happen. I'm not. I'm not.
Say less, Backhat. Say less.
Nah, I can't say enough about this because we just had a whole election. When did we talk about healthcare? We didn't. Only time we talked about healthcare was when Trump said, I have concepts of a plan for Obamacare. That's it. And now all of a sudden, everybody is all into this problem that it has been around forever. And the other thing is, why is it that with every insurance, car insurance, health insurance, all these insurances, right, you have to buy in. You have to buy in. And with car insurance, you could go to jail. You can go to jail and for riding around without insurance. So if the demand on that end is that high, as far as the punishment for not having insurance, then when you do have insurance, why does the insurance company have a way to not pay? And they deny all day. That shouldn't even be an option. They have to cover what they have to cover. Now, if they covered the procedure and then they altered something later on, I could understand that. But when you got somebody under the knife, they're talking about, how much time that they can give people.
Yeah, you on the clock with the anesthesia.
Right, it's crazy. That is absolute nuts. And like the two sides are not the same. Yes, it is striking the hair. Oh my God, he shot somebody. Yeah, that's very striking. But way more striking is the fact that the insurance company continues to do this type of stuff. And we talked about Obamacare in 2010. And what came out from the Republicans? Death panels. Well, isn't that sounding like a death panel? Like they're deciding who lives and who dies. Like there's a lot wrong. And like Republicans are now outraged. Welcome to the party, Republicans. You're like 10, 12 years late because you had the moment in time in 2010 and through 2009 when Obamacare was being crafted. So the things we complain about with Obamacare right now not being good, why do you think it is? It's because of the Republican opposition to it. So it watered it down. it was going to be a lot more than what it is. And even at that, it's still better than what we had. And that's why last week I was on that, not last week, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, I was on that lame duck 65 because he did not vote for Obamacare, and now down the road he need Obamacare. All this bull that you're doing in the moment is hurting people in the long term. And then it doesn't become a problem until it's your problem. And that's the crap I don't like.
All right.
All right. All right. Ricardo, anything else on that one?
No. That said what he said, and y'all got to live with it.
That damn right.
And MD, that doesn't make him a Bolshevik. MD, it makes him a very sound, precise person, stating his opinions about how the healthcare industry is full of multitudes of issues that nobody wants to tackle on. But when the Democrats decide to do it, it's like, oh my God, like they're passing a law. Mind you, it was one of the Kennedys that brought it up to the forefront beforehand, and had he, pushed through like he would have or should have at the time, we would have had universal health care. But alas, it didn't go through because of personal opinions and views
and lies.
A whole bunch of rhetoric. So it's crazy now that here we are, and the richest country in the world, and yet we still don't have universal health care. Every other country does, except for the United States. That speaks volumes that don't have universal health care. And get folks, your main people in Congress and government have free health care, but there's a problem there. That's out to everybody's mind, but
All right. So let's get back to the deed at hand, and that is 2024 Super Duck. So with that being said, let's get into our first Super Duck profile. Let's go with Mr. Mark Robinson. We'll see you on the other end.
The 2024 absolute worst piece of trash of the year. Super Duck nominee, Mark Robinson.
Fantastic. How's everybody doing? Good. Very first thing we're going to do, as always, we're going to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Are there reporters in this room somewhere? I can't see through the light. It's the mainstream media here. If you're here, I want you to hear this. Hear me. I don't care what you say about me. I don't care what you do in your newsroom. I don't care about your plans and your schemes to bring this nation down with your Democratic friends. Why? Because Jesus Christ is still on the throne. You may have your news cameras and your satellites and your 24-hour news, but Jesus Christ holds the world in his hands, and he holds me in it as well. And what he has for me, you cannot keep from coming true. It may not be the governor's mansion. It may not be any political seat, but you will not stop Jesus Christ's will in my life. So I do not fear you. Write your stories, tell your lies, tell your half-truths.
A few moments later.
Trump campaign reeling tonight after a stunning report from our own K-File, which reveals the Trump-backed candidate for governor in North Carolina, Mark Robinson, has made dozens of disturbing and damning comments on a porn website. Some of the comments are frankly so disturbing that we cannot air them. But they include Robinson writing, quote, "I am a black Nazi, and I wish they would bring slavery, back."
All these other guys that come out here and talk to you about the issues, we know the issues. The wide open border, crime on the street, fentanyl killing our children, pornography in our schools. We know about the issues.
Robinson also calling himself a, quote, perv while discussing his affinity for transgender pornography. Keep in mind that he has called transgender kids sick and demonic. These comments were made between 2008 and 2012. And at this hour, Robinson is defiant, refusing to step aside. Here's the fact. Robinson's Trump's guy. This is what Trump's been saying about Robinson for years.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids. I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King ×2. One of the great stars of the party, one of the great stars in politics, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. I'm a great supporter of his. You're incredible, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. This is a hot politician. He's a hot politician. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. A real star, great guy, friend of mine, Mark Robinson.
Disturbing posts more than a decade ago on the message board of a pornographic website, and we traced them directly to Mark Robinson. Now, we did interview Robinson yesterday, and he categorically denies making these posts. I'll get to that in just one moment. But first, I want to walk people through just some of them. Take a look at this post right here. In one post, Robinson called himself a, quote, black Nazi. And when discussing then President Barack Obama in 2012, writing, quote, I'd take Hitler over any of the shit that's in Washington right now. It even goes beyond that. Another disturbing post, Robinson defended slavery, writing, quote, slavery is not that bad, and I wish they would bring back slavery. I would certainly buy a few. He also disparaged, as you mentioned, civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., using a slur to refer to him and calling him a, quote, commie bastard. All those comments and others you can read on CNN.com were made on the message board of a porn website called Nude Africa. And Wolf, in addition to those posts, he also expressed views on Nude Africa that sharply contradict his current policies as a socially conservative candidate for governor. For example, he has been vocally anti-transgender, but look at what Robinson wrote on the porn message board a decade ago, that he liked, quote, watching transgender porn, adding, quote, that's effing hot, and called himself a, quote, perv. In another thread that was discussing the story of a woman who said she had been raped by her taxi driver while she was drunk, Robinson wrote, quote, and the moral of this story, don't F a drunk white bitch.
So he wrote all this years ago, as you know, Andrew, when he was an ordinary citizen before he even got into politics. How do we know it's him?
Well, Wolf, we found that Robinson consistently used the same username, Mini Soldier, that he used on Nude Africa in all of his social media. You can see it on Pinterest, Black Planet, YouTube. He even previously used it as his Twitter handle. Now, his full name was even also listed on Nude Africa, and the email that we found that he used there, he also used on several other websites. The biographical data from multiple websites using Mini Soldier, including Nude Africa, matches Robinson's. There's an exact date of birth, there's his hometown, there's a fact his mother worked at an HBCU, even that his favorite episode of The Twilight Zone is number 22.
So, Andrew, what does Robinson say about all of this?
Robinson is calling the story trash. He says it's not him. Now, we did ask the campaign for comment. We gave them 48 hours to respond. That deadline was yesterday. And that's when Lieutenant Governor Robinson agreed to do a brief interview with us. Here is just a little bit of that.
This is not us. These are not our words. And this is not anything that is characteristic of me, nor has it ever been. The people here of North Carolina know I have been completely transparent about my history. All the warts, we put them all out. We let folks know about it. But the folks here also know my character. They know who I am. They know my voice, so to speak. This is not my voice. This is not things that we would ever say or even think.
How do you explain all of the matching details on this profile? The profile on Nude Africa lists your full name as Mark Robinson. The email listed on the account is an email that you have used elsewhere on the internet, including with your photo. You have used that name, Mini Soldier, on multiple social media accounts, including Twitter, Pinterest, Black Planet, and YouTube. How can you deny, with all of these matching details, that this is you?
Look, I'm not going to get into the minutia of how somebody manufactured these salacious tabloid lies, but I can tell you this. There's been over $1 million spent on me through AI by a billionaire son who's bound and determined to destroy me. The things that people can do with the internet now is incredible. But what I can tell you is this. Again, these are not my words.
You mentioned AI. Are you saying that somebody was somehow manufacturing biographical details to exactly match you using your username? Is that what you're telling me here when you say that?
Look, I have no idea how this was done. I have absolutely no idea how it was done. And I have 5 weeks left in this campaign. to focus on the substantive issues that North Carolinians face. I do not have time for tabloid trash.
Okay. Well, how do you explain some of this being on the Internet Web Archive? Something that can't be
We
manipulated.
are. I've made my position clear, and we are done with this.
All of this and again, just to emphasize, right, calling himself a black Nazi, right, was another thing you found. He's also said incendiary things about transgender people. We talked about a couple of them, horrific things that he has said about transgender people. But he also admitted on this website to then watching transgender pornography.
That's right. In one of the comments we found, Robinson says that he enjoys, quote, watching transgender porn, saying, quote, "That's effing hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in," and then adding, quote, "I'm a perv too."
I mean, all right. It's just, okay. It's just incredible. So this is all of these things.
You may have your news cameras and your satellites and your 24-hour news, but Jesus Christ holds the world in his hands. But Christ is still on the throne. And because he lives in my heart and I live for him, I know whatever I need to do on this earth for him, it will get done.
A few moments later.
Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, of course, conceded the governor's race earlier this evening.
Yeah, CBS 17's Greg Funderburg has been at the Robinson campaign headquarters.
He really wanted to win this race for them, but he also said he is looking towards the future. He also told the crowd of supporters at the City Club Raleigh he plans to finish up his final 2 months of his term as lieutenant governor. He says he plans to continue doing all he can for Western North Carolina. He also expressed his gratitude to the crowded room of supporters just after 9 o'clock.
You have added value to my life as friends, as supporters. The one thing I have not done this entire time in this campaign is shed tears. And I will not shed tears tonight because I stand here strong and proud, glad to have run a race that was upright and decent.
All right, there he is. There he is, one of the nominated candidates for the absolute worst piece of trash of the year, Super Duck nominee. Hey, MD, what do you think here about Mr. Mark Robinson?
Yeah, so a lot of times with a lot of MAGA maniacs, they change their viewpoint or their ideology to suit what's best for the MAGA base, right? Mark Robinson didn't have to do that. That's who he is, and the records show it based on the stuff that he was doing online. It's hard, you know. We think about like the Uncle Ruckus character and the quote unquote Uncle Tom and all of that. We look at it as a caricature almost. You know what I'm saying? It's real people out there that's like that. Now, I don't like the epithets of Uncle Tom and Coon and sellout because it's antithetical of what I believe in as an individualist. But
do you mean MD a house nigger?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Pretty much. But from a consensus standpoint, if you want an example, there you go. Some of these people, now I'm talking to black folks. Now this is a black conversation. Some people hate themselves so much in the basis of what the consensus is about black people. It is not who you are. It's about what other people believe black people to be as a whole. Some black people hate that idea of that group identity so much where they're willing to warp and reform and reshape themselves into something that hates their very own existence. That's a fact. And that's a problem with groupthink all on its own. Because it creates people like Mark Robinson. That nigga is crazy. So I'm crazy.
And Mark Robinson is Trevor's favorite politician. Just putting it out there.
Hey, Trevor, you might have to make that move to North Carolina, man, and see what you can get out of it in 2028. He needs, but in any event, this shows you how crazy self-identification in a multi-form could be. He's a perfect example, and and it's sad to see because behind closed doors, he looking at tranny porn and going to the sex shop and whacking off, eating pizza. So just be you.
In that same order.
Yeah. That's the sequence. So I don't need to know about Jesus. I don't need to know about what you feel about transgender. It's a non-starter in what North Carolinians need from a political standpoint. But because you placate to the culture war since before Trump, 25 years ago, because you placate to that idea, you formed yourself into a monstrosity. And here you are being nominated for the Super Duck. That's all I got to say.
All right. Thanks, MD. Ricardo, what are your thoughts here on Mr. Robinson's neighborhood?
Well, clearly, Mr. Robinson's neighborhood is very filthy. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Like the last time when we started talking about him, I just love how these people who tend to go into this evangelical kind of stance of Jesus and this and love and God, and please stop it. Like it gets it, and this is my problem with this whole notion of them going for the whole juggler of Christianity and all that crap. It after a while, you ain't thinking about Christianity when you're looking at tranny porn, and I don't know how that gets you off, sir, because there's nothing, But then again, I shouldn't say that. Everybody has their own particular kinks, and there's nothing wrong with him saying, he likes whatever he likes, because everybody has their own different preference in terms of whatever. But my God, sir, you get off transformer porn, it's a no for me. But that's me. But for him, I think that's a whole other conversation to be had. Again, it goes back to this whole question with the whole Tim Scotts and all of them that were trying so very hard to be on the back burner of like, we're going to ride the coattails of Trump and MAGA mania this, and I'm going to look cool. And MD brought up a very valid point. When the race came into fruition, he didn't even stand a chance of winning anyway. So it was kind of like lame to begin with this whole rhetoric that he was going for. I don't even know where else to go from here, but I'll just say this, like, dude, it's one thing to go on a rhetoric stance, you know what I mean? Like, we go on, like we say we're for one thing and we are, and then for you to be behind closed doors to say another is like a whole other conversation to be had. There's barbershop talk and then there's kitchen table talk, and there's a difference between the two. Like MD mentioned, the house nigga syndrome that people have, some black folks that are in our community. I'm talking to specific people in our community. You have folks in our community that they have this issue where if they speaky spoke meaning like you speak a certain way, you're considered too white. Or if you do certain things, you're considered like a Carlton, like from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Or you do certain things, you can't go in the hood because you're not, what's the word, ghetto enough or whatever it is. That's just everybody's identity in terms of their likeness to being black. And that's how we went into this whole thing before, for most of y'all not listening or have been listening tonight, of the identity of black and all of that. But to me, in this election cycle, it just seemed like the Tim Scotts and him and the rest of them just like they don't know where they stand, and then they were just trying to do this dance and the shook and jiving, and maybe Trump is going to pick you. And then look at that. The only person that Trump ended up picking anyways was that former basketball, I think he was a basketball player, I might be wrong, or NFL player, who is now in charge of HUD, which is housing. That's the lowest you could think of, like, black people at this particular point in terms of black jobs. Like, wow, you couldn't put them in terms of, like, someone in the upper echelon of like, government. It's beholden. Again, folks, just be yourselves. It's all we can tell you to be. Like, kids, if you're out there, be your damn selves, because you're doing all of this in the God and the Christianity and Jesus to stand for, and you like, it's doing too much. It's just giving. I'm screaming on top of my lungs for no reason, and then when shit hits the fan, you're like, oh, woe is me. I'm not gonna sit here and cry because I lost again. You weren't gonna win to begin with, sir. But again, I digress. If you love your tranny porn, if you love talking about how an essayed victim is whatever, by all means, sir, you're entitled to your opinion. We're in a country that free speech is on the mantle of our Constitution. But my golly gosh, sir, really, it's a no for me. I'm sorry. Like, North Carolina, I don't know how did he end up on the ticket. Is beyond me, but I digress. The election cycle is over. Hopefully we don't see you again. Maybe we might see you in some church kumbaya thingy. I don't know what else you could go into. Maybe dancing that's what the stars might call you. Maybe Survivor. I don't know. Write a book. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if you do a porno at this point. Again, nothing shocks me again with these conservative evangelicals, wannabe Tea Party MAGA maniacs rolled up into one sequence. It's getting stale now. Give me something shocking, like maybe y'all could shoot to the moon and discover planet X or 10 or whatever it is. That might surprise me, but none of this surprises me anymore because it's all the same bullcrap over and over again. I digress.
All right. So here we go. We have our first entry here, Super Duck nominee, Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson is the first out of 5. So let's keep it going. And we're going to look at the next nominee for Super Duck. And that nominee is Mr. Joseph Biden. Good old Uncle Joe. How could he be on there? What could he have done? Let's take a look at Uncle Joe, Super Duck nominee, the second Super Duck nominee we have for tonight. And we'll be back on the other end.
The 2024 absolute worst piece of trash of the year. Super Duck nominee, Joe Biden.
He doesn't know where he is. There is down again, and Angie Dundee is screaming, stop it. It is over. It is over. It is over.
I view myself as a bridge, not as anything else. There's an entire generation of leaders you saw stand behind me. They are the future of this country.
The New York Times reports that he's also considering pledging to serve only one term. Quote, framing Mr. Biden's 2020 campaign as a one-time rescue mission for a beleaguered country.
He's also questioned, whether this type of thing or serving one term is the right thing to do.
He's going to run for one term. I may end up, if I get elected, only having one term.
Biden pledging to serve only one term.
The Abrams strategy and the one-term pledge, both an effort to tamp down concerns about electing a 78-year-old president next year.
Joe Biden is hinting that he would be a one-term president if he wins. Not saying like, oh, I'll win one term and then I'll lose in my re-election campaign. No, saying I won't even run for re-election.
Former Vice President Joe Biden ends 2019 in the best place he has been in the 2020 presidential race since, well, he got into the 2020 presidential race. His poll numbers are improving, both nationally and in early voting states. And so is his once woeful fundraising. All of which makes it very weird that Politico reported this in early December. Quote, according to 4 people who regularly talk to Biden, all of whom asked for anonymity to discuss internal campaign matters, it is virtually inconceivable that he will run for re-election in 2024 when he would be the first octogenarian president. And the report went on this way. If Biden is elected, a prominent advisor to the campaign said, he's going to be 82 years old in 4 years and he won't be running for re-election, end quote. Which, well, look, on its face, the idea makes a semblance of sense, especially given Biden's age and the message he's running on. So,
after 4 long, tense days, we've reached a historic moment in this election. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States, winning the White House and denying President Trump a second term. With this victory, Kamala Harris is set to become the first woman and the first person of color to be the vice president.
On November 8th, the U.S. will hold 475 separate federal elections. The results will determine who controls these, the 2 houses of Congress. After the 2020 election, Democrats controlled the House of Representatives and the Senate, as well as the presidency, the 3 bodies that have to align if you want to make new laws. And they did. But even when government is split between the parties, each one of these bodies still holds tremendous power on its own. So the importance of what this picture looks like can't be overstated. And each one of these 3 outcomes contains a very different story about the next 2 years in the U.S.
Don't forget to vote. How you feeling about tomorrow, sir? Well, I'm optimistic, but I'm always optimistic.
The Democrats win the House?
I think it's going to be tough, but I think we can. I think we'll win the Senate, and I think the House is tougher.
What do you think awaits you if it is a Republican-controlled Congress?
What do I think what?
Awaits you. What's your new reality going to be like in Washington?
More difficult.
Red wave rising. That is the focus of tonight's angle.
It's going to be a wave election, and you're going to lose the Senate, and I'll bet you $1,000 right now.
The knives are being sharpened right now for Joe Biden.
You know, Democrats are going to get crushed on November 8th because a red wave is coming.
But I'm betting that Joy will learn 2 new words on Tuesday. It's red wave.
How big could that looming red wave get?
We begin this Sunday morning with expectations of a red wave this Tuesday. I think this election is going to be a red wave. I think we're going to win.
You know what? I think, your predictions of a red wave are accurate. And the reason I say that is because now even the mainstream media is catching up.
We've been hearing, is it going to be a red wave? Is it going to be a red tsunami? I think it's going to be a red hurricane.
When the red wave comes, and it is coming, Joe Biden's political utility is over.
Are we in for a red win here or a red wave?
Red wave or red tsunami? What are you feeling today?
I'm feeling red wave.
And don't listen to the lies they're spewing that this could take days or days, to know who won. This is total BS. A wave like this, we should know that night, basically, who won the Senate and the House. Anything that happens Wednesday into Thursday is gravy.
And right out the back door, I've got a tropical storm brewing right now. I think they're saying could be a Category 1 by the end of the day. However, let me tell you what is a storm, that red wave. I'm telling you, if there's any indication based upon what we're seeing this morning, somebody made a surfboard, said the red wave is coming.
Good afternoon to you. We want to take you to the White House where President Biden is making his first public comments since last night's election.
The American people have spoken and proven once again that democracy is who we are. While the press and the pundits are predicting a giant red wave, it didn't happen. And I know you were somewhat miffed by my obsessive optimism, but I felt good during the whole process. Some good Democrats didn't win the last night. Democrats had a strong night. And we lost fewer seats in the House of Representatives than any Democratic president's first midterm election in the last 40 years. And we had the best midterm for governors since 1986. And another thing that we know is that voters spoke clearly about their concerns.
The run-up to the election, experts we know were talking about a red wave. A lot of Democrats were very nervous about this, but this doesn't seem to have materialized to the magnitude that was expected. So what do you think happened here?
Well, certainly the Republicans did not enjoy a red wave as anticipated. And because the president's approval rating is low and people are concerned about the economy, an issue that Republicans typically do better on, I think sort of everyone was expecting that Republicans would make pretty significant gains retaking the House of Representatives and potentially the U.S. Senate.
We had heard leading up to it that, kind of Trump Republicans would show up in force and a lot of these Trump-backed politicians would do quite well. That did not pave the way. That did not actually come to.
We're coming on the air with important news in the presidential race. President Joe Biden is officially running for re-election.
President Biden will run for re-election in 2024 with Vice President Kamala Harris as his running mate.
The announcement came this morning in a video titled Freedom, which was released exactly 4 years after his announcement for the 2020 presidential race.
It comes as a recent NBC News poll shows that 70% of Americans don't want Biden to run for president, with his age cited as a primary concern.
He's going to be 82 should he be reelected, and if he serves out the entirety of a second term, he'll be closer to 90.
But Trump's candidacy also faces opposition. That same NBC News poll shows 60% of Americans don't want to see him run again either.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period, eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
If the Democrats don't replace him, the country will be forced to look at RFK Jr. And I'm forced into that. Because this guy isn't going to win. Biden is definitely not going to win. It's not even close.
Right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now.
If anybody in America thinks that was even close to being an okay debate by Joe Biden, I'm living in a parallel universe. That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out to the closing statement.
And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now.
I am not confident that that is the man to take him on. You cannot tell me democracy is on the line and then give that performance tonight. If based on that, in 18 weeks, Donald Trump will be the president-elect.
It's over. It's totally over. Joe Biden didn't pick up a single voter there. He lost millions of votes there. He looked ancient. He sounded ancient. He looked incredibly weak. Now, is he actually weak? No, he's old. There's nothing he can do about it. He's 81 and he looks honestly 101.
Pressure is mounting for President Biden to step aside and end his bid for re-election as the president recovers from COVID. Sources close to Biden are saying reality is setting in.
Do you think there's any Democrat who could defeat Donald Trump other than you?
Probably 50 of them.
You do believe that there are?
I'm not the only one to defeat it, but I will defeat it.
Who else do you think could defeat Donald Trump, Mr. President?
All right. There we go. Once again, another link in the chain of the absolute worst piece of trash of the year. And this one up is Mr. Joe Biden. Uncle Joe. Joey. Well, here we go. Super Duck nominee. MD, what do you think about Mr. Joe Biden here?
Oh, go to Ricardo. He ain't went first yet. Is Ricardo there?
Ricardo, you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All
Go
right,
to Ricardo first.
All right, so we'll go to Ricardo.
All right. First things first. Uncle Joe. What can we say? All right. So there's a number of things that goes into him being the lame duck and why he's on here in the top 5. Now, we first and foremost we got to thank him because coming out of the pandemic, which was probably the most unprecedented, world event we've ever had in our lifetime. I don't know what else would have been more strange other than probably like cholera, maybe in the 90s. But he came through, didn't want to run the first time on account of when Donald Trump was coming in, he lost his son, Bo. And we understood that because it was cancer, it was draining on him. That was I think it was his eldest child, decorated, military veteran. So it was a lot. So then, his party urged him, begged him, say, come in, Joe. Now's the time. Donald Trump is an how do you say that word? Existential threat to society.
Existential threat
to democracy or something to that effect. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. Donald Trump ended up winning, and we all know how that turned out. So then, after the pandemic came in, America spoke, and we voted him into power. And we knew, all of us knew, whether or not we wanted to think about it, that he was getting up there in age, because Joe is a veteran. He's been in politics for a long period of time. Now, has he have a clean slate in politics? There's a number of issues with Joe, but for the most part, we remember him as Vice President to President Obama, and then we kind of have an idea, an inclination of how he works, with both sides of the aisle. So we give him a pass. Push forward to now. The economy is a certain way, the perception of how it looks like to certain people is a certain way, and then all of a sudden there's a ruckus. One of the things that bothered me about this election cycle with him, in general, is that the Democratic Party knew going into this that it was going to be a epic bloodbath, because at this point Donald Trump is going for the cylinder. He is literally, this is his last chance of power. He got the taste of politics. It was a fluke. And somehow when he got the taste of it, he loved it. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, once people get power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So again, he, got a taste of it. So he literally ran, and he was running on all cylinders blazing. And it was one of those things where I felt like Joe, had he prepared himself, and they kept telling him to prepare for this debate with Donald Trump. No, I got this. Donald Trump is a certain way. Literally went, and we all saw how that debate went with Donald Trump, and we all gasped for air. We knew at that particular moment that there was no way Joe was going to win. Now, the other issue with Joe this election cycle was that Joe was nowhere to be seen in certain, instances. It was like he was hiding, or he wasn't prepared for certain things, or he won't do interviews, which typical presidents during certain cycles would do. He didn't want to speak to Fox News, he didn't want to speak to even the liberal media. And it was like, okay, so what's the reason why he's not doing it? They came up with a whole bunch of excuses, just like after the debate. They said he had COVID, which, again, I don't know how COVID could make you perform terrible when you literally was just babbling, and it was speaky spoke, and it was just all over the place and rambling. The Democratic Party, which is his party, has a lot to be blamed for in this. They all stood back. They all sat there and all thought to themselves, okay, maybe he could win. No, he's old. He's like literally up there in age. So I hate to be that person to bring up age as a mirror, but no president has literally surpassed that, pedestal. I think the closest person we came to was probably Reagan, when he was like beginning to lose his what you call it, what's the word we're looking for here, where your brain doesn't start working a certain way, and then it was the wife that took over.
Cognitive decline.
Yes, there we go. So it was Reagan that we saw that with, and as much as they tried to act like Reagan was doing something, he really was on the complete downturn at particular instances. So it was really his wife that was pulling the puppet show there. But Joe really should have literally left the race a long time if he knew. And the other issue I had with Joe was that he knew he was going to run for one term. He didn't want to do the second term, and so my biggest beef with him was, if you knew that was the case, and I always say this to people out loud as well, when you're in a job anywhere, don't say what it is that you're planning to do it, because then once you say something and you don't follow through, it's kind of like you're giving, biscuit crumbs or whatnot to something that you knew, you know what I mean? Like you shouldn't want to partake in, but then, why tell people out loud? Just keep that to yourself. But he literally knew he was going to run for one term, and then after a sudden he changed his tune and then said, no, I'm going to run again. Joe, you can't do that. It's like, once you said you're not going to run, you should have said, all right, guys, once we almost hit that pedestal of the election cycle coming in, I'm going to slowly take the back burner, and maybe you guys need to do the Democratic, what's the word? I'm losing my thought process here. Where we pick or select the Democratic contender.
The primary?
The primaries. They should have. That's what the Democratic Party should have said. All right, then we should just do a primary count. Probably push Kamala.
The delegates.
Have them in a round table and let us all see a debate. Put Kamala somewhere, prep her, and then at that instance, make America make that choice. and then from there we would have been fine. I think they waited until the very last minute when Pelosi and the rest of them were like, okay, well, Joe, we're going to tell you this, and it's in all due respect, we appreciate your efforts and all that, but gracefully step out. Now would be the time. They waited way too long when it ended up being the summer for them to shock the whole entire nation, because this was the first time we've ever seen this in history, where he literally said, I'm going to step aside and bow out. You should have done that way earlier, Joe. Had you done that, it wouldn't have looked so bad on your legacy. But now you bowed out late, then you push the vice president, which was Kamala, into the picture. We kind of had, bits and pieces of what she was doing, and the country got confused with that whole thing. And then the rhetoric from the other side didn't help her case. So then it was like spending billions of dollars that didn't amount to anything on election night when all our mouths drops to the floor. In all, the Democrats, Joe, his advisors, everyone in his camp should have been blamed for this, because it could have gone the opposite way. It didn't. And so now we're wheeling from the repercussions of what we saw when all of that, bull crap happened. And so now we're like trying to bend. We now have to wait another 4 more years to then pick up the pieces from all this nonsense that, came about. And in all fairness to Joe, maybe, and I'll say this because I didn't like the way it was handled with him in terms of how the Democratic Party did with him, but he should have also been the one to have the foresight of saying, hey, I'm a little bit too old for this, guys. I don't have the push and the drive to do this anymore. So I'm telling you, I'm going to gracefully step out. There was investigations, and he knew it was going to be coming from the other side regarding, his son, Hunter, and all of this. So all that wrapped up in one, only to then come about to then pardon his son. And then now he sits back, and now they're all mad at him, saying, now you're going to wait. You have literally a couple weeks left before, Joe, before Agent Orange 45 comes in. What are you going to do? Now will be the best time to pardon who you need to pardon, sir. And he's like, I don't really know. So, it's like one of those things. You didn't deserve to be on the list, Joe, because what are you doing in your final days as president? Are you just going to pardon your son and that's it? Like, you could now blaze everything, cylinders blazing, go. What else do you have to lose, sir, at this point? Literally pardon who you need to pardon. If you need to cancel student loans, do it, and then make them fix it afterwards. They're going to do what they're going to do when they're coming in. So why not just go out blazing? I literally say this for the and MD might hate me. Literally obliterate everything as you're going out. Cancel student loans, pardon who you need to pardon, put in who you need to put in, and let them handle it from the rest of the way. Because once Trump comes in, he's going to executive order everything that he needs to do. So why not do what you need to do in your final days? I don't understand what he's doing at this point. I'm kind of confused, but I hate to say it, sir, but you're well deserving of being on the list. You should have been a little bit higher if it was me, but I give you some grace because you kind of like 50-50 for me. But all in all, I blame your party, I blame you, and I blame your advisors, and perhaps maybe your family for letting you stick it out this long when you knew you only wanted to be a one-term president. And I digress.
So Joe Biden said that he was going to do one term. He lied. Joe Biden said he was not going to pardon his son. He lied. In both of those occasions, it's not like an egregious lie. It's just like circumstances change and then he course corrected. But at this point, he's such an utter ridiculous disaster. And if you go back to the 3rd episode of this show, Tape Fist Politics, the title of the show was Joe Burden. He is a burden on the Democratic Party. He's a burden on the country because this guy cannot get out of his own way. Statistically speaking, his record is up there with most 2-term presidents. In these 4 years, he accomplished a lot of things. There is a lot more that needed to be done, but for what he got accomplished, all the blunders since 2022, to his decision since 2022 to decide when he saw that there was no red wave. The moment he saw that, he took that as, the people get where I'm coming from and the people on my side and blah, blah, blah. And he made it about him. And that's where the problem started. Joe Biden has shown himself to have an ego and to just be dumb, bullheaded at times. That's why he can make the comment to Charlemagne, if you don't vote for Democrats, then you ain't black. You know, that didn't like, oh my God, that was a mistake. That is how he thinks. He believes a certain way and he thinks a certain way. And this election cycle definitely showed how much of an egotistical dumbass he is. I can praise him for certain things that he did, but I can also scowl him for the other things that, quite frankly, cost the election, cost the country the momentum that it needed to continue to go on to really build itself up. And now we're going to regress, all because of one little old frail man that decided, oh, Donald Trump has all these court cases on him. Donald Trump has all these problems. He is like the worst candidate you could possibly have. He's been running now for 10 years. So it's like he has no positive upside. But then you turn around and you lose to him. You made a disgrace of yourself by the debate. And then when everything turned into a dumpster fire and there was nothing left to be destroyed, you shoved Kamala Harris out there and said, oh, go ahead, you got 3 months. And that's just bullcrap. Like, that made his legacy even worse, because in 2022, Democrats should have been running to be presidents. Different, fresh faces should have been putting themselves out there, getting people to know them, having the advantage of building up a coalition. And that never happened. He snatched all of that away from young Democrats so that his old ass could indulge in a second term. And he figured, I don't have to do much because this guy Trump is so toxic and bad. A rat could beat this guy. And that's what it was. Once he saw the red wave didn't go through, his head got big. Once he saw Trump entered the race, his head got bigger. And then his body just said, and buckled from the knees, and that was it. His ass was through. And he just looks bad now because he's the new George H.W. Bush, Daddy Bush, where he's like, read my lips, no new taxes. As soon as he sat in that desk, he immediately realized you got to bring in taxes because Ronald Reagan freaked the country up so bad. So this is his legacy now too. Well, I'm not doing a second term. He did a second term. I'm not pardoning my son. He pardoned his son. And which, by the way, I don't all the way blame him for doing that, because it's true. I mean, you got a guy that's coming in here that's looking to exact revenge and harm to your son. Now, if somebody else would have came in like Doug Christie or whoever on the Republican side, he would have just been in jail, and that's fine. I don't think he would have pardoned him then, but whatever, that doesn't even matter. The only thing is the optics don't look good, and Joe Biden's a dumbass. So now we'll go to MD.
No, just to add to another point, maybe he should have kept quiet about the whole pardon thing about Hunter to begin with. He didn't have to say anything to begin with. If when he was asked, he could have kept quiet. I'm not going to.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing, Ricardo. That is in itself political too, because he's saying that to make himself look like fresh and clean. Look at me. I'm not corrupt. You know, that's what he was doing. He was using that as a political tool, which is even more trash bag stuff. Like, none of that stuff went his way. He's like a bumbling, fumbling, the fourth member of the Three Stooges. He just looked stupid doing it. So, yeah, he freaked up. You freaked up, man. He went from being one of the best presidents in modern history to now he's going to be in limbo of like, where does he fall now? And I think it'll probably be many, many years for historians, to like 20, 40, 50 years, they're gonna look back at it and they may be forgiven at that point. But right now, he looks like a dumbass, and he destroyed the Democratic Party. Right now, the party is soulless. Who's the leader of the Democrats? It's not Kamala Harris. Her career is done.
Nope.
It's not. It's nobody. Who is the leader? I mean, even Gavin Newsom, I don't think he can come up in this situation right now. I don't know who's the leader, and we didn't get a chance to figure that out because we didn't have the primary we were supposed to have 2 years ago. And that's the problem. That primary happened, you would have had multiple strong candidates, to be honest. And Donald Trump wouldn't have won, but whatever. All right, MD, your thoughts on Mr. Joe Biden?
Yeah, so I'm conflicted on this particular duck because I agree with everything that everybody has presented. Especially with Ricardo. I think he brushed over what the main issue is for me. When it comes to Joe Biden, yes, he does a lot of egotistical things. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But from a structural standpoint, when it comes to the Democrats, Joe Biden is really not controlling anything. The main culprit for the reasoning behind them losing this presidential election is the DNC itself, and a host of others that have, I guess you would say, governmental control over the DNC when it comes to the structure of it. People like Majority Whip, well, not majority, but Democratic Whip, Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, these people. Now, this is my speculation. I think at some point in time, if Biden does a post-presidential interview or anything like that, I believe it's going to be revealed that he himself did not choose to stay as the candidate for this cycle. I don't think he chose that. I think it was chosen for him. Evidence of that, the DNC choosing not to hold primary debates, choosing not to list other primary candidates, so on and so forth. This is all the DNC is doing. Now, from the Duck standpoint, I can grant him the nomination based on not having no balls and being at the whim of what DNC says, even up to the point of not staying in the race. He was at the whim of the party. He tried to stay in, but Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Rahm Emanuel, these people pulled his card and said, if you do it, this is what we're going to do. And he bent the knee. So ultimately, the onus falls on the Democratic National Committee. But on the basis of Biden not having the testicular fortitude to stand up on the things that he believed in that were going to be essential to his presidency, the nomination of the Super Duck holds weight. Even going back to the beginning of his presidency with Build Back Better, he bitched out under the whim of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema.
Yep.
And didn't fight back, didn't hold bully pulpit to oust these people from the Democratic Party. He didn't do it. Why? Because he was trying to be the glue of the Democratic Party. At that point, 2020 was not the point of solidarity when it came to the Democrats, because there was a clear paradigm shift that was happening from 2020 all the way up to 2022 with the quote unquote red wave. There was clearly a paradigm shift of what people perceived was going on from especially from an economic standpoint. You had the advantage, and you chose to cower under pressure of a couple of Democrats because you did not want to break the foundation or crack the foundation of what you believe the Democrats were at that particular time. So as far as the Overton window, you looked at it close very slow over the span of a 2-year period. You did that. When it came to the primaries, You chose to go at under the whim of the quote unquote kingmaker Clyburn and the Democratic chair and say, hey, look, you're it. We got this. It's an easy breeze. Nobody's gonna be able to beat you, so we're just not gonna run anybody. And you went for it, hook, line, and sinker. I don't believe that was your choice. I don't believe that was your choice at all. You were the company man, so to speak. And now your legacy is tarnished because of it. Again, like I said, I would have voted for Biden if he was a head in a bowl like Futurama. I don't give a damn. I would have voted for the man. But on the premise of what you stand for versus what you ran on, we're ideologically opposed. Now I'm looking at it from a liberal standpoint. I'm trying to look through the lens of progressive action because in fact you were one of the most progressive, definitely the most progressive in our lifetime. So I give you kudos on that from what you tried to do, but you cower in the face of adversity several times. You even cowered up to a point to try to again hold some type of constitutionality in regards of what you believe is right and exact with not pardoning your son to oh snap they got Trump in, they gonna lynch him, so I ain't got no choice but to pardon him. Even up to that point, you held no guts. So the nomination it holds weight. I think a lot of that, to me personally, is based on the fact that Biden was gutless in a lot of situations, and I land on that.
And when you say gutless, we're talking about promising to do $15 minimum wage, and then as soon as the vote came up, he just immediately just crapped out.
Yeah, we'll cut that part out.
Yeah, paid family leave, didn't do it. I mean, he just what's that?
Let's not forget the student loans that he promised.
Right. Elizabeth Warren was on his neck about that the whole time, talking about how it's important to do it and Democrats are supposed to make life better for people. And she kept pushing and pushing it. And finally, he did little drips and drops of student loan forgiveness. But if he was more aggressive on it and did more on it, he would have had a better standing and he would have had a more support. And that's the thing. Like, nobody's like overly enthusiastic about Joe Biden because it's just Wonder Bread with butter on it. That's it. It's nothing spectacular. It's just bare basic. And he didn't want to do anything. He didn't do anything for people to be excited about. The Voters' Right Act, he didn't follow through with that. There's so many little things that were really easy layups. In red states, they are for $15 minimum wage at least. I mean, I'm in Florida, red state. They overwhelmingly pass $15 minimum wage in Florida. Why is the federal minimum wage $7 and change? That's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Those were easy layups that didn't get passed because he didn't want to pass it. So frig him. Joe Biden just frigged up a lot of his legacy just being a dumbass. And this is when you operate without conviction, when you operate without real intent, and you're just going along. He saw the tide looking in his favor, and then he just kind of like whipped himself along with it. That wasn't a part of the plan, so why did you do that? Because of his ego. So Joe Biden, Super Duck nominee, second nominee. Let's go right back into our Super Duck here. Let's get to the third. This one's going to be good old Elon Musk. Let's take a look.
The 2024 absolute worst piece of trash of the year. Super Duck nominee, Elon Musk.
This is the story of how the world's richest person, the owner of Tesla and X, bought the global town square
then corrupted it before using his immense wealth to help elect a convicted felon. April 14, 2022. Elon Musk makes an unsolicited offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He claims the site has become politically skewed and says, for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral. October 27th, the deal goes through. The next evening, a far-right conspiracy theorist breaks into the San Francisco home of Democrat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, intending to kidnap her. Pelosi is away, but the man attacks her husband Paul, hitting him repeatedly on the head with a hammer. Paul Pelosi escapes with his life, but requires surgery for a fractured skull. While most people take the chance to decry political violence, the new owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, posts a tweet sharing an entirely false claim that Paul Pelosi was in fact injured in a drunken fight with a male prostitute with whom he was involved. Musk includes a link to a false claim on a website that has a history of publishing conspiracy theories, including a story asserting that Hillary Clinton is dead and has been replaced by a body double. Musk's post is retweeted 24,000 times before he deletes it. November 18th, Musk's Twitter starts to unlock previously banned accounts. Misogynist far-right influencer Andrew Tate was permanently banned from Twitter in 2017 after urging women to, quote, bear some responsibility for rape. Now he's back. Tate posts, I've decided to fly to the failed state of California, walk into Twitter HQ, and tell @Elon Musk he's a legend. On my way. 2 months later, Tate will be arrested in Romania on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. December 8th. 3 members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council resign. In their resignation letter, they cite research that found slurs against Black Americans and gay men jumped 195% and 58% respectively since Musk's takeover. 3 days later, the remaining members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council are dismissed. Musk then tweets that, quote, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci, a reference to a conspiracy theory that the COVID crisis was exacerbated by America's top infectious disease doctor. December 16th, having claimed he's a free speech absolutist, Musk bans @ElonJet, a Twitter account that tracks the movements of his private jet using publicly available data. Musk also bans the accounts of a number of journalists who have written about @ElonJet. February 12, 2023. Ahead of the Super Bowl, both Musk and President Joe Biden tweet their support for the Philadelphia Eagles. Biden's tweet is seen 29 million times, Musk's just 9 million times. Incensed, Musk leaves the game early and calls an impromptu meeting of Twitter engineers at 2:36 a.m. Their job? To change the Twitter algorithm to artificially inflate the reach of Musk's tweets by a factor of 1,000, making him the preeminent presence on the site. July 23rd, Musk announces Twitter is now called X. August 25th, Donald Trump, once banned, returns to the platform by posting a picture of his mugshot from Fulton County Jail with the words, election interference, never surrender. Musk reposts the shot. 4 days later, X reverses Twitter's long-standing ban on paid political advertising. November 15th, in a post promoting the racist conspiracy theory that Jewish people are importing immigrants to America to fix elections for Democrats, one X user writes, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Musk replies saying, you have said the actual truth. In response, several advertisers, including Disney, Warner Brothers, and Comcast, pause their advertising on X. Musk then tells advertisers concerned by hate speech on the platform,
go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Over subsequent months, Musk will become obsessed with the false claim that Democrats are allowing immigrants into America to create more Democratic voters, in effect stealing the coming election, sharing the claim numerous times with his followers and pushing it to tens of millions more who choose not to follow him. A year later, it will be revealed that Musk, a South African immigrant, worked illegally in the US in the 1990s. November 25th, on X, Musk boosts the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, a long-debunked claim alleging high-profile Democrats ran a pedophile abuse ring from a Washington pizza restaurant. March 25th, 2024. Musk loses a lawsuit against the Center for Countering Digital Hate. He'd sued them after they flagged a rise in hate speech after Musk bought Twitter. In his ruling, a U.S. district judge calls Musk's case vapid and says this case is about punishing the defendants for their speech. May 2024, Musk creates a political action committee which he calls America PAC. Its objective is to mobilize 1 million Republican voters in swing states in an effort to hand the election to Trump. Musk commits to putting tens of millions of dollars of his own money into the Get Out the Vote push and clears his calendar every Friday morning for 30 to 60 minutes to meet with the team he's assembled to run the effort. July 14th. Musk calls Trump on behalf of J.D. Vance, urging Trump to select Vance as his running mate. Vance says abortion is murder and insults women who haven't become mothers.
A bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made.
Musk's phone call is part of a broad effort by Silicon Valley billionaires to ensure Vance is selected. The next day, Vance is unveiled as Trump's vice presidential candidate. September 6th, Trump says that if he wins, he will appoint Musk to head up a government efficiency commission.
And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force.
The idea came from Musk, whose companies are currently facing at least 20 federal investigations. If he gets the role, it would give the world's richest man the power to regulate the regulators who hold sway over his companies. Last year alone, his companies were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts with 17 federal agencies. September 9th, Musk spreads a conspiracy theory that immigrants in Ohio are eating people's pets. The following day, Trump repeats the slur during the presidential debate with Kamala Harris.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
The false claim leads to multiple bomb threats against the Springfield immigrant community, September 15th and 16th. Over a single weekend, Musk amplifies a conspiracy theory that ABC leaked sample debate questions to the Harris campaign, falsely claims that the Dems want to take your kids, further fuels racist lies about immigrants eating pets, shares with his nearly 200 million followers on X that Trump must win to, quote, preserve freedom and meritocracy in America, and insinuates that it is suspicious that no one is even trying to assassinate Biden and Kamala, adding a thinking face emoji. The U.S. Secret Service confirms that it is aware of the post. The White House issues a statement saying violence should only be condemned, never encouraged or joked about. This rhetoric is irresponsible. October 4th, Musk posts, unless Trump wins and we get rid of the mountain of smothering regulations that have nothing to do with safety, humanity will never reach Mars. This is existential. Musk is the owner of SpaceX and stands to make billions from US government space contracts. October 5th, the user handle @America is taken from an X user and given by Musk to his America PAC. That evening, he joins the former president on stage in Pennsylvania, jumping about wildly.
Fight, 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 vote, vote, vote.
By now, he's moved with his senior team to a war room in a hotel in Pennsylvania to focus full-time on the Trump campaign. He speaks to Trump multiple times a week, is doing a series of pro-Trump town halls across the state, and has recruited lieutenants from his companies to join him. October 15th, legal filings from Musk's Political Action Committee show he has personally donated at least $75 million to the effort to re-elect Trump. October 18th, it's revealed that another Musk-funded group called Future Coalition PAC is targeting Muslim voters in Michigan and Jewish voters in Pennsylvania with diametrically opposed political advertisements about Kamala Harris. In areas with large Muslim populations, the group is painting Harris as a close friend of Israel and is suggesting that she's beholden to the beliefs of her Jewish husband. But in areas with large Jewish populations, the ads say Harris panders to Palestine. Simultaneously, Musk is offering $100 to any Pennsylvania voter who signs his online petition as part of an effort to build a list of likely Trump voters. He also starts giving away $1 million a day to a randomly chosen voter who signed the petition. October 19th, it's revealed that the Building America's Future PAC, another Musk-funded campaign group, is impersonating the Harris campaign by setting up a fake website containing fake policy positions, then sending out text messages driving voters to the fake site. October 24th, it's revealed that Musk gave his America PAC a further $44 million in the first 16 days of October. October 25th, the Wall Street Journal reports that Musk has been in regular contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin since 2022. October 27th, Musk speaks at the now infamous Trump rally at Madison Square Garden, a gathering characterized by racism, misogyny, and threats of violence.
USA! USA!
Musk has posted more than 3,000 times on X in the last month, including dozens of unfounded claims about the election which have been viewed hundreds of millions of times. Apart from Trump himself, Musk is now the single biggest spreader of election disinformation. November 5th, Trump wins the presidential election. Elon Musk, a far-right conspiracy theorist, has succeeded in using his immense wealth to help swing the election in favor of a convicted felon.
All right, there he is. Our third absolute worst piece of trash of the year, Super Duck nominee, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, illustrating in that last piece how dangerous and villainous and corrupt he can be. There's conflicts of interest all over the place. He pretty much bought himself power in the government. And now he's able to evade investigators investigating his company. This is really problematic. Now we'll go to Ricardo. Ricardo, what are your thoughts about Elon Musk?
Elon Musk is, if anybody knows me well, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk due to the fact that he has so many hands in terms of the pots. Like Keith had mentioned, he has a lot of contracts. And my problem with him is, although most of the time when it comes to space, because if anybody knows me well, I'm a huge geek or person that loves anything pertaining to space, because his SpaceX has done wonders in terms of, doing recyclable equipments being like launched into space and then being able to maneuver back to Earth without, wasting, resources and all of that. So he's done quite a few things. Don't get it twisted. Musk is a very smart man. Very, very smart. And sometimes I feel like the smartness of what he has, because of his brain power, can corrupt a lot of things. And that's my concern with him. It should be very concerning for a lot of people for him to be in contact with Putin from 2022. Why were you in contact with Putin? But then again, if you all remember, he does have these satellites that are all over the place. So there's a lot of thinking caps and tinfoil hats that a lot of people need to be putting on their heads when it comes to Russia, the Russian Federation, and Ukraine, and everybody else in terms of accessibility when it comes to his SpaceX and his satellites that he has all over the place. I think it's SpaceLink or whatever, because his satellites are used in certain areas. Like if you're on a cruise ship, you could use his satellites to connect on the World Wide Web. There's a plethora of things that he's in connection with. With that being stated, I have a problem with Elon Musk since the whole thing of him gaining Twitter and turning it into X. Twitter now to me has become, it was always a cesspool, but it's become so corrupted when it comes to information and misinformation and a whole bunch of, crap just spewing all about. And it was good and dandy up until when he got rid of the advisors and everyone else that was on there. So now it's just a free-for-all, and it's just there. I mean, you could get everything on Twitter, whether it be misinformation, whether it be porn, whether it be a whole, barrage of things that just don't make sense. You can get on Twitter, which is now ironically called X. I feel like I'm like talking about Prince, formerly known as the artist. Like it just sounds so stupid calling this thing X. Is it 10 or is it X? What is it? Nobody knows. But there's a whole barrage of things that Musk has done. I want to pinpoint one thing here that I find amazing. This man entered this country illegally. Yeah, let me repeat it again to you all. He entered the United States of America illegally or by illegal means, and that didn't create a problem. So again, is it just the outlook that he is a white person? It wasn't a problem, or is it if he was a different skin color, it would have been a major issue? That should stick out to everybody in their minds, and I just wanted to pinpoint that out. But I digress. I entered the country by naturalization, so that's a whole different story. But I just want to say that was a thing that he was spewing in terms of rhetoric, and none of that was a problem or issue for the other side when it comes to certain things. So the hypocrisy is just beholden to me, and it's something that's like, what are we going on and on about when there's so much at play here that we're not talking about? With that being stated, again, he's now about to run a government agency that oversees what now? Like there's so much things, red flags that should be going up in people's heads going, what are we talking about? Like, what is this thing where it's like we're talking about things that is like a whole barrage of, much to do about nothing, but then we're not concerned about where this man's thought process is. He owns Tesla. He has SpaceX. He has SpaceLink. He has connection to some of the most prolific world leaders in the world. He's having conversation with them. Now he's in the room with Donald Trump and other advisors. Now he's in Notre Dame speaking, not speaking, but mingling with other people. You're the world's richest man, but why do you need to have so much accessibility to a whole barrage of things? What is it that you're trying to do? It should be a red flag. It's almost giving me the vibe of Ford back in the day, Henry Ford, when because if y'all don't know, and just the history, think along here. It was Henry Ford that gave us the 8 hours per day, weekly outlook that you see us have now, where, back in the day, there used to be 8 hours that you would work for, but he somehow put that into play and, it was passed. And now we're single-handedly doing 8 hours per day per week for work hours. That's the kind of thinking that I think Musk is on, where he's now probably trying to come up with a whole barrage of ways of changing things. I don't need you to do that, Elon Musk. I need you to sit down somewhere, focus on that ugly, disgusting-looking car, rectangular, craptacular crap that you have driving around. God knows, I don't know why people are buying these things. Doesn't even look good. And focus on the automated, trucks that you're planning to bring out about, which it should be another concern to people in the trucking industry. Focus on things like that, or perhaps selling Twitter. But I don't need you to be in charge of the government and overcharge of your own companies. That's a little bit too much to handle. That should be concerning. I think people should be asking themselves, why is he wanting to police his own company when he's already being investigated? To begin with, that is like a whole bunch of, conflict of interest here. But then again, no one cares because he's with Donald Trump. And I'm just going to put this out there. MD, you hear me say this first here. I don't think Trump likes Elon Musk. I don't think most people like him. I think he is one of those people that are just there, and he helped and he contributed like, $75 million or close to $100 million at this point to bring him into power. But I find, and it did come out in the news outlets, that I don't think Trump advisors or even Trump himself likes Elon being everywhere that he goes. And I think it's going to be a problem going into like probably at the end of his presidency. I think you might end up seeing a conflict between the two. And it's going to be one of those things where it's either Musk is going to tell on what Trump has been doing or something along that lines. But don't put that past Elon Musk to seek retribution in that avenue. I'm just throwing that out there. With that being stated, does deserve to be on the lame duck, super duck list of top 5. I just urge everyone to do a couple more research on what Elon Musk is about and how smart he is, and why you should all be concerned as citizens going forward in this presidential election. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. MD, what are your thoughts here on Elon Musk?
So me, Elon Musk ain't the lame duck. If there's anybody that came out on top throughout all of this, is Elon Musk. Now, I can grant you the nomination based on the fact that he's diabolical. If we're looking at it from that standpoint, oh yeah, he may be the top guy. Because what he just did throughout the process of the entire year is diabolical. Because essentially what he did was paid for a spot to reshape, reformulate how this government operates. That's what he did. I think I mentioned this before. He's Wayland Industries. That's what he is. That's a fact.
Facts.
By the time it's all said and done, after Trump's second term, he probably be over $500 billion as far as total assets with the subsidies, government contracts, et cetera, et cetera. This man is going to be almost a trillionaire. Do you understand that? based on what he just did in this election, taking advantage of the corporations or individuals aspect of how campaigns work via Citizens United. He out Citizens United is what he just did. Dastardly is what he is. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, oh yeah, if you're looking at it just from that, he's the winner because what he just did is dastardly. But the crazy part about it is he's winning in every aspect. That's a fact. All these government contracts that he got now is about to be times 10 because he's about to get rid of the regulations that stop him from doing certain things within these government contracts. He's about to get rid of them shit. Scrap government efficiency and all. And it's going to open up the door for him to make more money. To hell who it affects environmentally, et cetera, the hell with that. Capitalism, baby. So, and another thing, essentially, Elon Musk is the vice president. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. Yep. Hell, you might go as far as to say, hell, he's the president. Might go that far. Trump just a figurehead.
Just like Dick Cheney and Bush.
You know, I still ain't seen J.D. Vance. Still ain't seen him.
Nobody has.
Like, is him and the couch going through it? What's going on? They having some domestic issues at home, I guess. Elon Musk is the vice president. Point blank, period. So again, from that aspect, the nomination is warranted based on how dastardly his strategy has been the entire year. Another thing, 2 points. Ricardo made a point about Henry Ford. Part of that was true. Henry Ford didn't create the 8-day work week. He confided, or let's say he signed on to it based on the fact that he was one of the people that formulated the assembly line, and he showed that the assembly line was so efficient that the 8-hour work week worked. So FDR used him as like a exhibit, so to speak, as far as to say, hey, look, you know, we're becoming industrialized to a point where the machines are the ones that are taking the time away and blah, 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 this and that. Another thing, in the beginning of the video, and this is one of the problems I have with the lefty loonies, because they actually placate to some of the talking points, giving solidarity to a lot of stuff that Elon does. When it comes to Twitter, Twitter is not a global public square. That's BS. That's bullshit. You can look at it from a sense that this is a social media platform where everybody converges and talks and blah, 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 this and that. Calling it a public square would insinuate that it's government ran, and it's not. And this is one of the arguments, and Elon, he relish in it. He love it because people misconstrue what these social media platforms are there for. You buy something, it's yours. You dictate how the shit is ran. I can't have an issue with X being a cesspool because it ain't mine. Nor is it the United States government or any other government. It's Elon Musk platform. So when you try to counter an argument with more misinformation, that's one of the issues that I have a problem with. And it's also giving fuel to Elon Musk's fire. It's not a public square. And I hate when people use that argument and they try to do it because they feel as though certain speech should be banned on the basis of everybody can access it. That's bullshit. Private ownership. I'm a capitalist at the end of the day. It's private ownership. It's his. You don't like it, go somewhere else. We got Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky, the real MD20. And with that, I say peace.
Great plug, MD. All right, let's keep the Super Duck train moving here. We're gonna go to the 4th out of 5 nominees, and that nominee is gonna be P. Diddy time. Diddy, he's had an eventful year this year. Let's take a look at some aspects of his year, and then we'll be back with our commentary.
The 2024 absolute worst piece of trash of the year. Super Duck nominee, P. Diddy.
Next, give me something else. What can't you do? I can do it. I can do anything. When he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man. When they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
One of entertainment's biggest powerhouses comes crashing down.
I was up, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice.
He's dealt with every challenge in his life, and he's not guilty. He's innocent of these charges.
As his controversial past faces questions that could reveal long-buried secrets.
For myself, and I think a lot of other people in this industry, I mean, it's all a shock.
Diddy Combs is denying allegations of rape, physical abuse, and sex trafficking by his ex-girlfriend, R&B star Cassie Ventura, in a disturbing new lawsuit. In a complaint filed in federal court on November 16th and obtained by E! News, Cassie claims she was the victim of Combs' violence during their 11-year relationship. The star, who met Combs back in 2005 when she was 19, says the musician aggressively pursued a relationship with her despite their nearly 20-year age difference and the fact that they were both in romantic relationships with other partners. In the lawsuit, Cassie alleges over the course of their relationship that the rapper regularly beat her up, repeatedly forced her to have sex with male prostitutes while he filmed it. The complaint also alleges Diddy, quote, blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Miss Ventura. She says in 2018, when trying to leave the relationship, Diddy forced her into her own home and raped her. She also makes the allegation that he's responsible for getting her addicted to drugs and alcohol. E! News has reached out to Cassie.
Sean Diddy Combs by a woman claiming he raped her at an MTV Video Music Awards after party in front of a male and a female celebrity is raising eyebrows and questions about who those unnamed celebrities could be. This comes as a new report claims Combs and his then-girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez, argued that night. I look at what it could mean.
Forcefully denying claims in a new lawsuit that he and Sean Diddy Combs sexually assaulted a minor at a party 24 years ago. Jay-Z said it's just an attempt at blackmail, and he called it, quote, idiotic. The suit originally mentioned only Combs, who's facing federal sex trafficking charges. Drika Duncan has more now on the allegations against Jay-Z.
Cops wanna knock me, DA wanna box me in, but somehow I beat them charges like Rocky.
He's one of hip-hop's most celebrated artists, a successful businessman known for launching careers, and he's married to one of music's biggest stars. But on Sunday night, Sean Carter, who goes by Jay-Z, said being named in a civil lawsuit alleging rape is blackmail. According to the accuser, named Jane Doe in the lawsuit, the assault happened at an after-party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards when she was 13. She claims she attended a house party thrown by Sean Diddy Combs, who is also named in the lawsuit. She says she was given a drink that left her feeling, quote, woozy and lightheaded. Doe claims she entered an empty bedroom so she could lie down. Shortly afterwards, she said Combs and Jay-Z and an unnamed female celebrity came in, with Combs saying, quote, "You are ready to party." The accuser then claimed she was pinned down and raped first by Carter and then by Combs as the female celebrity watched. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
The details of these allegations are really troubling. The plaintiff here alleges that Sean Combs and Jay-Z drugged her and then raped her. It's hard to get more serious than this.
In a statement, Carter responded to the allegations and lashed out at Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, calling him a fraud and stating, "I will not give you one red penny, and these allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?" Busby has filed several lawsuits against Combs, accusing him of physical assault and rape after Combs was charged in September with federal offenses, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Combs, who was recently denied bail for a third time, pleaded not guilty and is set to face trial for those charges next May. Combs has denied all wrongdoing, his legal team calling the revised lawsuit shameless publicity stunts.
Amazing and talented musician, but let's call a thing a thing. He's an abuser of women.
R&B superstar Chris Brown is the latest celebrity to now come under focus in the Sean Combs story. Due to a new explosive documentary, older allegations about Brown assaulting a woman at a Combs party are being viewed in a very different light.
He knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Another day, another resurfaced Diddy video now gone viral.
He's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives.
In fact, 2 videos with Justin Bieber bringing more heat to the rapper, who's pleading his innocence from behind bars after being charged with sex trafficking and racketeering.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
Got me a Lamborghini. And
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini?
Diddy and the underage Justin appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2011, referencing this vid posted 2 years earlier on Justin's verified YouTube channel.
You come down, you gotta, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right,
no,
16.
No,
16.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down, Justin.
Okay.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Oh, apparently not.
Everything ain't for everybody.
Flash forward to 2024, amid Diddy's arrest, these moments re-entering the conversation, sparking speculation the then teenage pop star may have attended those alleged freak-offs.
Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream, and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang out with some girls.
A man after my heart, that's what I'm talking about, kid.
As for Justin, who's now 30, a source told ET the new dad's energy is going towards wife Haley and son Jack, and he's not focused on what is going on with Diddy or the allegations against him.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
Disturbing new video appears to support some of the accusations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
We want to warn you that this video you're about to see is extremely graphic. The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her. So far, there's been no comment from Combs or his attorney.
All right, there he is. There he goes. Our 4th entry in the absolute worst piece of trash of the year. The 2024 Super Duck nominee, Sean P. Diddy Combs. So we'll go to MD on this one. MD, your thoughts on Diddy Combs at number 4, Super Duck.
Yeah. So again, my position still stands when this all broke out. It's inconsequential to me. Uh, he went upside Cassie's head, kicked in the rib a couple times. So what? You know what I mean? He's arrested, he's locked up, and he where he need to be at. That's what it is. Now, I find it surprising. Is these people gonna have the same smoke for the Jigger Man and the Beatster and all these people? You know what I'm saying? Because believe you me, if they was there, they was getting down in the dirt too. Let's just keep it a whole buck. So for all you hip hop heads, you know I'm not no hip hop head. You know, man for me when it comes to Jay-Z, but I know a lot of you Negroes love the Jigger Man. So you know, if he gives the payout to the young lady that's accusing him of this, you know, what y'all gonna say then?
That he's guilty.
Okay, I was just making sure. What about the Beatster? What was the Beatster getting down at 15 years old? You know, and you know, let's not forget. Like they say in Atlanta, Usher, he was the one that bring him in. He was there, and a slew of other people. So again, don't be surprised. Kutcher. Don't be surprised.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, all of them. Don't be surprised if Diddy do the Nino Brown on everybody.
Oh,
if he going down, everybody going down.
Oh wow.
And it is what it is. So don't try to put all the onus on P. Diddy. Don't do that.
But when you say that Diddy is like the common denominator and the one that is making all this stuff go around.
Well, P. Diddy was the accommodator. Okay, I give you that. He accommodated, but he was accommodating everybody else.
Yep.
He was accommodating the Jigger Man. He was accommodating the Beatster, Usher, and all them. Ray J, and all these people.
Yep.
So, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, Raheem Akbar, he the real leader of the CMB. If I'm going down, everybody going down.
Man, this thing, the more we find out about it, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more connected and more connected.
Hell, I'm thinking about filing a suit. I was violated at the P. Diddy party. Somebody got to pay me.
God. Man, he making Suge Knight look like a better man every day. Oh boy. All right, so Ricardo, what do you think of P. Diddy Combs?
Well, the diddler. I got to say the diddler has been brought up very frequently this year. I mean, we've all seen that video because one of the things that beforehand we saw the infamous video of him coming out in the towel in the hallway of the hotel after Cassie, his former girlfriend. But I think it's when he threw the vase like in those soap opera like in Dynasty and what and that was like an epic vase, vase throw. Like it wasn't even like he just threw the vase and we're like, what the hell? Like who the hell does that? But
sorry to interrupt, Ricardo. I just want to add on to what you were just saying. With him being in the towel in that video, I saw a video today talking about how he was in the middle of a freak off in that hotel room with her in there.
Oh wow!
That's why he has a towel on. They had a sex worker in that room, and they were in the middle of doing that. So that explained a lot.
Wow. It's one of those things, but it goes to show because the streets have been talking for years, so it's not like most people were shocked by it, but it's just the way it all went down. But you have a number of people like 50 Cent, and then you have Cat Williams that have come out numerous times and have said stuff that as males in the industry found very weird. Like you offering bring a man shopping and then telling them you're going to do such and such. It gives a little bit of creepy whatchamacallit vibe. I mean, some people might say, well, that's just a grown man just being concerned for you. But then there's things you do for a female and there's things that you do for males, and it's kind of like the subject line blurred a little bit. So growing up in certain elements, there's certain things you're just not supposed to do or ought not to do. But all in all, I feel like he is deserving to be on the list. It's shocking, but kind of not shocking because we've had our discussion among in terms of our group that there was a number of people that is on the list, and so I hope I guess yesterday was when Jay-Z's name happened to be on one. So that list didn't surprise me with the Jay-Z thing. It's just the way that Jay-Z responded yesterday that got him into a firestorm today.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's certain things you don't say, and even if you think you're entitled, you're not supposed to say them. And I think it was one of those moments where I think looking back, he's gonna probably regret it. You need advisors, and I always tell people this: if you're a celebrity, and this idea of Americans or people in general putting celebrities on a pedestal need to stop. I think all of this thing with what you're seeing now with the Diller and Jay-Z and the rest of them coming to fruition. It's this idea that we always, romanticize or put, these celebrities on a pedestal, on a high Fremantle chair, like they can't fall off. Like they are human beings like me and you. The only difference that these people are, these celebrities have over us, that they have probably more money, more privilege, but inside I'm sure they're like they hold back a lot of things. There's a lot of concerns. There's a lot of childhood trauma. There's a lot of substance abuse. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they don't show to the real world, and they hide behind this image and this glossed up, thing where it looks beautiful from the outside looking in, but in the inside you wouldn't really want to be in their shoes because a lot of time they're miserable. I mean, I was looking at a number of things today, and I'm saying to myself, like, this don't make no sense. But all in all, getting back to Diddler and Diddy and Pete Puff Daddy and whatever his name is now, because one minute's Puffy, then switch to Diddy, then God knows what his name is going to be. I wish him well. I hope he's prepared to have a strong legal team, because if the feds comes and raid your house, it's serious. And we've all seen that, because he has a domicile here in Florida and in South Florida, and they raided the crap out of his house. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like, all in all, I think this idea of us putting celebrities on a pedestal need to stop. But I'm not gonna. I think we should be saying it's alleged that all these things that have been happening has repercussions. And all in all, I wish both Jay-Z and the Diddler well. I wouldn't be surprised of most of the things in terms of the essay and the grapes that have been happening in certain freak offs and parties where people don't talk about it. The Leonardo DiCaprios that are quiet, the crybabies, like basketball player, what's his name, Grandcat, that we can't stand sometime, LeBron James, all the people that go to these parties, all these all-white parties, and they act like it's like the grand pedestal of it all. It wouldn't be surprising if there's a number of other celebrities that we haven't heard about come up into the tapes, because, like the friends have stated before, there's a number of tapes that have been hidden. The most disturbing one in terms of the allegation is the whole Justin Bieber thing. If it is alleged to be true, you got to question, why is a grown man hanging around a 15-year-old, and what about the parents in all this? Why is Justin Bieber's
Because when it was Michael Jackson, everybody had something to say, but nobody saying nothing about Diddy.
Exactly, like when Macaulay Culkin was hanging out with Michael Jackson was a problem, but it to me it seems odd and I always implore parents to do this. I have kids of my own. I don't let my kids even go into a doctor's room by themselves. I would, let alone to be hanging out with, a grown adult at that. And even then I vet them. Why would you allow a 15-year-old at that to be hanging out with a grown ass man like Diddy? What would they have in common? I could never fathom, but I digress. Maybe he was trying to be a custodian. I don't know. All I know is just weird. But that's the parent and the guardian in me. But I still blame the parents of Justin Bieber and Usher, because remember, Usher was also in his camp at a very young age. And it's this the same thing I implore with the R. Kelly thing. Why were the parents not involved in these young women that were hanging around him? It's just, there's a number of blame to go around, but I say this and I'll leave it at that, is that we are all responsible for our own, what do I say? Responsible for our own free will and thinking. And sometimes I think a lot of time it gets clouded and skewed in terms of imagery. And I think, in this country that is based on celebridom, because I call it celebridom now, where a former TV host can become a president, or and we all know who it is, that a former Apprentice host can become a president, or former wrestler. Well, is he a former wrestler? He's still a wrestler. A wrestler is now having ambitions to become a president. Anything is possible in this country, but just make sure you all are aware of the seedy side of certain parts of the entertainment industry. We all heard about the bellboys in wrestling. We've all heard about things that, a former, I guess, person that owned the wrestling sport industry did, over the years. There's a number of things that can go haywire if you don't have a clear-cut mind, because it can absolute power curves, absolutely. So I urge people out there, if you're getting involved in anything, just make sure you have a very clear, concise mind, and not let it be skewed into, I'm going to make promises to you, and then they never become anything fruitful. Just be very careful and mindful of the things y'all do out there when it comes to being a celebrity. It's never the grass is green on the other side. There's always some stipulation to something, and I'll leave it at that. Best of luck to Jay-Z and Diddler and the rest of them.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. So we're gonna we don't have a video for Donald Trump. I think everybody knows enough about Donald Trump and has heard enough about Donald Trump. I do want to go to one more honorable mention. We mentioned some honorable mentions earlier in the show. Another one I want to mention here. This is Abbas Alawi. I probably butchered his name, but this is a founder of the Uncommitted movement. We're going to take a look at a video right now so we can see why I would put him as an honorable mention. Let's take a look at that. Then we'll go into Donald Trump and ultimately our final picks. We'll do a process of elimination for the Super Duck. But let's take a look at this video on the Uncommitted movement.
I am interested in the long-term project of taking power from the people within the Democratic Party who are pro-war and wielding it in the service of people who are anti-war. I'm very acutely aware of just how badly the pro-war side wants to make sure that someone like me and people like me and organizers like those organizing with Uncommitted can be nowhere near those rooms where the decisions are being made. And our message to them is, we're not going anywhere.
Will Kamala Harris defeat Donald Trump in November? And can she do it without resolving the war in Gaza? Well, that could come down to a bunch of key swing states, including Michigan, home to 150,000 Arab American voters who are outraged by Kamala Harris's continued commitment to arming Israel's war. But this is a community that has never really had political influence in Washington, that is, until today. Welcome to the Big Picture podcast. My name is Muhammad Hassan, and we are joined by the founder of the uncommitted national movement, Abbas Alawiyya. Alawiyya may come from an activist background, but he's also a political insider. In 2021, he became chief of staff for Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush. But after October 7, he helped start a movement to withhold a vote for Joe Biden at the Democratic primary in Michigan over his stance on Gaza. That resulted in over 100,000 people voting uncommitted on their ballot papers, and that started a national movement. And Alawiyya became a delegate representing the movement, traveling to Chicago in August for the Democratic National Convention, hoping to get the attention of the new candidate, Kamala Harris. But what they thought would be a space for the Palestinian issue to be heard instead became a hostile environment, where they were accused by other Democrats of sowing division and helping Trump get closer to power. Then a week later, Kamala Harris made her stance on Israel crystal clear.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change.
But no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done.
In 2016, Trump became president partly by overturning states like Michigan, where he beat Hillary Clinton by a margin of just 10,000 votes. 4 years later, Biden defeated him in Michigan by 154,000 votes. That means for both candidates, securing the Arab American vote could be crucial. But that relies on this community being able to vote as a bloc and recognizing the influence that they can have. So, will they do it?
Let's just say some special vitriol for, and that's the uncommitted crowd. And I would like to take you, just introduce you. This is a short little clip of one of these assholes. I'm fairly certain I know what their goal was. Which was
to be moronical, an imbecile, like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
That's right. That's what that seemed to be the goal for these fuckers. They were going to hold Democrats' feet to the fire so that they would threaten us with a Trump presidency. And what did they do? They ended up talking their own people into voting exactly that way. They didn't come home. They didn't turn around. The leaders of the organization ultimately voted for Harris, but the rank and file voted for Trump. Listen to this shit.
It looks like ethnic cleansing. It sounds like ethnic cleansing. It's an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza and the West Bank and southern Lebanon. And Mike Huckabee was just named as the guy who's going to oversee the final stages of that campaign. And so our message right now is to President Biden, you've got to do something about this. President Biden, stand up for once to Netanyahu before Donald Trump successfully gets away with pinning this legacy of this ethnic cleansing campaign on you and you alone forevermore.
Do you hear this, motherfucker? Do something, even though these assholes handed the reins of power to Donald Trump, but it's fucking Biden who was like walking this line between a country that had been attacked, having the right to defend itself, and the terrorists that were involved in this on Hamas, and not just Hamas, but like Islamic State in Gaza. Literally walking the line between these two, trying to keep Netanyahu on a shorter leash than he would have wanted to. And you motherfuckers decided to hold a gun to to his head figuratively in the presidency, and you pulled the fucking trigger. There is no there, motherfucker. He has no leverage. Netanyahu already made this fucking deal. You watched him do it. You motherfuckers stood outside the DNC full of people who were talking about a two-state solution and how there needed to be something done in Gaza, and Israel has the right to defend itself, but there should be limits on what it does, and having a real adult fucking conversation. You motherfuckers stood outside with your Genocide Joe bullshit, holding your fucking signs up and driving your voters away, not just not to vote for Harris, but to actively vote for Trump. And now it's on fucking Biden's head? You motherfuckers, eat shit. Shame on you. How dare you? The fucking nerve. And none of these motherfuckers, while they were outside the DNC, they were outside, the White House. Were they outside of Mar-a-Lago when Netanyahu was there? Nope. Did they protest at the airport when Netanyahu landed? Nope. Did they protest at Trump rallies where he was saying this shit, or even right after recordings had come out and conversations and leaks that he had been saying to Netanyahu, do what you need to do what you gotta do? It's referring to the Gazans as cancer, as the problem, and you have to get it over with quickly. Where were they? I'll tell you where they were. They were bullshitting this whole time. This motherfucker. You cannot be this stupid. I find it shockingly hard to believe that someone is that fucking dumb. And so I will assume, sir, Abbas Alaway, this dude from Uncommitted in the Michigan delegate, this motherfucker, I will assume that you meant to do it. That either it's a Sunni Shia thing or you just side with the Egyptian government or the Jordanians where they're just like, can we fucking get this over with? Can we just let Netanyahu kill the fucking Palestinians so we can all go back to normal? That's the only excuse. Nobody's this fucking stupid. In this situation, it's dumb or nefarious. It has to be one or the other. And at this point, it's so mind-bogglingly stupid, it has to be evil. Just fucking terrible. And now they're like, don't let Trump make this your legacy. Motherfucker, it's going to be Trump's legacy. He will be beating his chest about this shit. Nobody's going to be able to lay this at Biden's feet like it was his fucking problem, like you guys are trying to do. Can you imagine still trying to do that? Still make this fucking Biden's fault. You fuckers handed the reins of power to Donald Trump.
All right. There it is. Abbas Alaway, whatever. So he's the co-creator of the Uncommitted movement. Let's see if MD, are you available now? All right. So we'll go to Ricardo. Ricardo, any quick mentions on what we just saw there with the absolute failure of the Uncommitted movement, and then the whole try to place it on Biden, the blame on Biden? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, the rage is warranted, and not assist in helping solve an issue, but then turn around and do the opposite. Doesn't work. Counterproductive. There's a lot about this election that I just didn't like, and I think it comes back to what we were talking about on election night, when all of us were having this discussion, Venkat, is that we thought people were going to vote a certain way on account of what we know, on account of what we experienced, what we went through in the past, couple years during the pandemic. To only turn around and then give the reins back to the same person we were complaining about. That doesn't make any sense. And then you want to make the blame or take the reins of saying, oh, but this could, diminish your, by this might diminish your legacy. Again, in the piece, the guy made a valid point. You do realize it's all cylinders firing and burning at this point. Once Trump comes in, it's your fault. You guys didn't vote, and this is what the same thing I've been saying after post-election night. I don't want to hear any complaints from anybody. If you chose to vote the opposite way on account of you got brainwashed or got caught up in the sauce of the nonsense of MAGA, that's on you. You guys don't get to complain when tariffs now trickle into you and purchasing your TV for what it used to be for like, you know, the blockbuster price of $100 to now being paying $800 next year. You guys don't get to complain about none of that. It's all y'all fault. You know what I'm saying? But I digress in all of this because my stance on this, past election night was burn it all down. If this is what everybody wants, including the people that turned, over to the MAGA leaf, y'all can have all you want, but you don't get to complain afterwards. One thing we're not going to do, and we should all hold everyone that did it, is to hold everybody accountable for the nonsense that they did. And you're not going to get to sit down and say, oh, but the legacy that you're going to leave, you're not going to do that either. You had an opportunity to vote. It was a civic duty to do so, and you chose not to, so don't complain after the fact. It doesn't work like that. But this Abbas Alloway guy, dudes, people like y'all, that this kind of dude right here that infuriates me, but I don't want to get back into my anger mode of what it was that I experienced during election night and post-election night. I don't have the patience to go back to that kind of feeling I had. I'll just say this. Just like the guy that chose not to vote for Obamacare or for the Affordable Health Care Act and then now all of a sudden be sick and then be like, oh, well, now, the Affordable Health Care Act has been my life and savior. It saved my life. Well, why didn't you vote for it when you had the opportunity to do so? You had, the opportunity to help some other individual. Y'all weren't for it because it sounded like it was against everything that y'all go for. But it's not until you're in the moment when you need the necessity of it, then it becomes something that you need. It's kind of like, it's weird. I don't like this whole thing with Americans in general are fickle-minded. They don't remember things, but then when the shit hits the fan, they're like, oh my God, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You have an opportunity, you chose not to utilize it, don't complain. And that's my mantra going forward. I don't have time for it. If people come to me with a complaint, I'm just gonna be like, well, woe is me, I don't care. So, dude, these people that are dying in the Middle East, the Palestinians that are suffering, is on your hands. It's not on Biden's hands. It's not on, on the incoming president's hands. It's on your hands. The people that had the opportunity to make a chance to change it, that got brainwashed into the rhetoric and into the lies and the misinformation, y'all knew better. But don't sit there and blame Biden now on account of what you chose not to do. You switched sides, and then when it was convenient, now it sounds good for you to then go on your blame and finger pointing. It doesn't work like that. So with that being stated, Abbas Alloway, honorable mention number 4. Yeah, you're deserving of that.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. So yeah, that was a really stupid movement, and it undermined a lot of what could have been. You had a better chance in dealing with the Democrats than you have with dealing with the Republicans, especially on that particular issue. I don't see how they saw any way of a progressive or not progressive, any kind of positive movement through the Republicans. I just don't see.
You had it right the first time, Becca. They saw it as progressive through whoever. You had it right.
Yeah. So, what do you think about this, MD? This Abbas Alloway saying that Joe Biden needs to do something if your legacy is on the line. Like, you voted against Joe Biden. Joe Biden don't have to do nothing.
Hey, man. First of all, let me say this. Bravo. You finally played somebody who I like. You played Hal Sparks. Hal Sparks will call out the progressive. He'll call out a person like you, Van Cat. So shout out to you for playing Hal Sparks. And he been sounding along about all of this. Again, and it shows you just the utter stupidity of the population as a whole. You come out as leadership of this quote unquote uncommitted movement. Try to put distrust in the people as it pertains to Biden. Then when the ish hit the fan, well, when it's about to hit the fan, you go ahead and bend the knee like you should have did all along and vote for Kamala Harris. But because you've been strategizing and showing leadership skills amongst stupid people, they still voted for Trump. And now you out here trying to explain it away and plead and beg to Biden to do something. There's nothing to be done. When it's all said and done and I'm retired one day and I get to traveling, hopefully one day I'll go to a Ramada Inn or a La Quinta, because I ain't going to no high-end hotel. Ain't no reason. Ramada or La Quinta in the Gaza Strip. So that's what's going to happen when they blow up the smithereens and rebuild it as a tourist attraction. And it's because of you that's going to happen. Point blank, period. Because you're not able, because you're so fickle, and you go with the wind as it pertains to government, and you don't try to embed yourself within it. You rather just bitch and complain to the government. And when you don't get your way, you try to do something ill-advised to try to show some type of example. This is the result. So blame yourself at the end of the day. Can't blame Joe Biden. You can't do it. The government of the United States knows that Israel is a focal point as it pertains to interests in the Middle East. I ain't heard nobody say nothing about that yet. It's all about Palestine this, genocide that, which is true. I'm not taking away from any of that. But if you cannot articulate the reason behind what you say from a legal, constitutional, legislative standpoint, you're just farting in the wind. And that's exactly what these people did. Now you want to cop pleas. So, again, I'm so done with the progressives and they stance on Palestine. You know, it's sad to say because I empathize with the people based on what we went through as Black Americans in this country. But at the end of the day, this ain't how we fought it. We fought it with the pen. So I don't know what you want me to do. I'm sorry, but I don't know what you want me to do. And you're starting to piss me off. That's just what it is.
All right, MD. Thank you so much. So the last piece here to the puzzle is, of course, these Republicans like to call him daddy. I don't know why that's a thing. Big grown ass man saying daddy's home, but whatever. Donald Trump, our fifth and final Super Duck nominee. We're not going to play any videos on Donald Trump today. We know what Donald Trump is. We heard what he did all year long. He was the most nominated person all year long. So this is Donald Trump. Ashy, 78-old mediocre white man, Donald Trump. This is the dude right here. So with that being said, we're gonna look at all the super ducks that we have here. So let's cue the music. All right. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna eliminate one of five. So let's recap who we have here. So first we'll start with Donald Trump. Next we're gonna go with Elon Musk. We have Joe Biden. We got P. Diddy, the diddler, as Ricardo would say. And finally, we have Mark Robinson, Trevor's role model. All right, with that being said, we're going to start with Ricardo. We are cutting somebody off this list, Ricardo. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So, Ricardo, who was your first cut off the Super Duck?
Damn. Who would be my first thought of the Super Duck list of top 5? Man, I need Elon Musk to stay up under. What's his name with the Transformer? Who was number 4 again? Remind me.
You're talking about Robin. You have Robinson. We have Diddy. We have Joe Biden. We have Donald Trump, and finally we have Elon Musk.
Damn. All well worth people. If I had to kick somebody off the list. Okay. I don't know if I could kick somebody off the list, to be honest. But if I had to kick somebody off the list, it will probably be based on how many notoriety he gained this year. Maybe Robinson, because in all honesty, you can't knock a man for having certain kinks in terms of what he likes. You know what I'm saying? If he likes tranny porn, there might be a reason why he likes that. I don't know why, because I don't know how you get off seeing a transformer with ass, tits, and a dick swing. But that's just me. But I can eliminate him for the fact that it's brand new, and he was using the excuse of Jesus is this and God is this, and it's just he came onto the list quite fresh, on account of we know the rest were under for just a moment, but they kind of snowballed into it. So if there's one person I could eliminate, it would be him. But they are all still very deserving of being on the top 5 list. So I would just change them in the pecking order that they're in and see who would be my top 1. But if I had to eliminate somebody, it would be tranny porn loving Robinson.
All right, thanks so much, Ricardo. So we got Mark Robinson on the chopping block. MD, who do you got for coming off this list?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. It's daddy puffy stuff. It's inconsequential to me what he did. It ain't no big impact. You know what I'm saying? He transported some prostitutes across state line and
no big deal.
Hit a couple women upside the head. It is what it is. Folks do that every day. So it's daddy puffy stuff.
But that makes it sound like a pimp, though. MD, that's pimpish stuff. Like,
hey, there you go. There you go.
All right, so MD has P. Diddy on the chopping block. So now I'll be the tiebreaker on this round. So I am going to go with Ricardo's pick, Mark Robinson. So Mark Robinson, you are the weakest link and you are eliminated. So now we're down to 4. And our 4 for the absolute worst piece of trash of the year will consist of P. Diddy, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and last but not least, Elon Musk. So this time we're going to start with MD. So MD, pick your next person on the chopping block.
I don't know what just happened. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I can't hear anything in my earbud anymore. So we picking again, right? If we pick, I'm staying with my pick.
Okay, so
daddy puffy stuff.
Okay, so Diddy is eliminated on the chopping block for MD. All right, so Ricardo, who would be your pick to put on the chopping block on this next round here?
Yeah, so if we're gonna eliminate him, we might as well eliminate Puff Daddy / AKA / AKA the Diddler off the list, because he really has nothing to do with politics. He does have some sway in terms of, rap entertainment, but all in all, he doesn't really sway in terms of, political influence. Now, maybe getting the keys to the city of New York is one thing, but how does he contribute to the, to the daily means of our lives? I don't know. He's still, put on a pedestal for like just being rich and having a famous name and having a, being a sidekick to one of the greatest rappers of all time. But Diddy, Puffy, Big Daddy, I don't know what you want to call you. Friend to Have You Been Swallowed, all that guy. We don't really need you on the list, so we're just gonna kick you off. So good riddance. Best of luck.
All right. So Diddy has been deleted. So now we're down to the bottom three, I guess you would call it, not top three. These are bottom three. All right. So the last remaining three pieces to the Super Duck puzzle are Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Out of the three, this time I'm going to start off with who I'm going to put on the chopping block. And this go around, I'm going to go ahead and pick Elon Musk as my third elimination here. So let's go to Ricardo. Ricardo, who do you select for your elimination on this round? Hey, Ricardo, you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I was talking the whole time. Between the three, the top three that we have, I would have to go with Joe on account of Joe Biden, on account of give him some reprieve on that, for the fact that he's probably not remembering some of the things that he said he was going to do, and his party didn't follow through, holding him to the fire. So I'm going to go with Joe, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that he knew better and stepped out. So we're going to give him that, that small inclination of reprieve there. So obviously,
all right, thanks, Ricardo. So now the final vote will be MD. MD, who do you pick for your elimination on this round? Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Elon Musk.
So yeah, I gotta agree with you, Van Cat. Elon Musk will be the next elimination based on the fact that all his plans are going according to schedule. It's like, again, his basis of being a super duck is not based on any blunder or stumbling or just outright idiocy. It's based on just being outright diabolical. You can make an argument for that, but when everything is going according to plan, that scrambles it. So, again, to me, Elon Musk is winning. So we must eliminate him from the super duck.
All right. So Elon Musk is deleted. So now we have our final two for the Super Duck of 2024. And it is going to be between good old Uncle Joe and Daddy Donald. So this time we're gonna start with MD. MD, make your first pick for the chopping block.
Okay, this is for the chopping block. So, all throughout the course of the year, Donald Trump has been a mainstay in the lame duck. No doubt about it. Everybody knows this. My super duck has always been Donald Trump. But because of the events of November 5th, in retrospect to everything that we've discussed tonight, and as well in previous shows, I must put Donald Trump on the chopping block and nominate Joe Biden as super duck based on the fact that his gutlessness, his ego, his complacency led to what we currently sit in vis-a-vis hell in a handbasket. Him and him alone is the culprit of what's about to happen 2025 onward. So I'm putting Donald Trump on the chopping block. I'm nominating Joe Biden.
All right, thank you, MD. So now we're gonna go to Ricardo. Ricardo, who are you gonna put on the chopping block?
All right, so last year we had Trump, and this year we have JB. If I had to eliminate somebody, I will have to go with MD on this one due to it being so fresh in our minds. The election, was very insightful in terms of what happened. I'm still conflicted as to who I need to pick at this moment. It's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Joe again because it's one of those things where he knew better, but still didn't follow through. But then on account of former presidents and Speaker of the House is forcing you to make a decision on the spot when you're an old man, you had to do it for the love of the country and the party. And you didn't do anything to cut that bull. I'm gonna go with Donald Trump. Yeah, I'm gonna eliminate him, and
You're gonna eliminate Donald Trump?
Eliminate Donald Trump on account of the fact that we've seen him in the news cycle from January up until now, and for some reason having all these convictions in the court of law, and for whatever the reason, he was able to brainwash a whole bunch of people to vote for him. So you should have done your homework. You should have done more, and you didn't do that much. So we're going to go with Donald Trump.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo. And I'm going to agree with not only MD, but Ricardo. And me, myself, I'm going to put Donald Trump on the chopping block and not make him the super duck. The super duck is indeed Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is going to earn this one simply because Donald Trump was the worst political candidate probably ever. Donald Trump had so many axes in his back. Donald Trump had so many toxic situations, moments, and everything against him. He was primed to be defeated. And because of a jealous old white man that's older than Trump, having his ego, he didn't do what he should have done. And he didn't only not beat Trump, he made it where the next person after him was very difficult for them to beat Trump. He pretty much blew up the entire Democratic Party in one fell swoop because he was selfish. And that's unforgivable. So I am definitely nominating Big Uncle Joe as the super duck. And that's a clean sweep. 3-0. Joe is the super duck. Unbelievable. I would have never thought all year long that Joe Biden was going to be the super duck. But that's what it is, folks.
November 5th changed a lot, man. It changed a lot.
Unbelievable.
And to add to insult, a man that's been knocked down how many times still end up the victor should speak volumes. As for how that is, I will never know. is literally we counted out Trump winning, and we still end up winning. So you gotta hand it to the person that comes out the victor, and Uncle Joe should be should be besides himself for and making this possible in this very moment, allowing Donald Trump to become the person that supersedes himself. Hey, it is what it is.
I mean, hey, I guess you could give Trump the lame duck Iron Man award, because again, he withstood it all year long, multiple titles. You know what I mean? So there's that. Zach, I don't know if you muted or not.
Van Cat, we can't hear you.
No, I'm not muted. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so yeah, again, to y'all's point, man, this was not on anybody's bingo card prior to November. Again, I think what Biden had one lame duck all year, so it was on nobody's bingo card. But again, just that swiftly, November 5th rolls around, the election takes place, and we see the rotten fruits of Biden's labor formulate and cultivate all in one event. So that lets you know nobody's safe when it comes to the Super Bowl. It only takes one look of the eye in retrospect of what you did up to that moment that cause a domino effect, and essentially that's why Biden won it. Van Cat heating up the hot pocket. I get it.
Yeah, and to the time and Trevor know all shenanigans, but it is when you notice somebody like a Trump that's been literally in the news cycle all freaking year, that we knew the country should have known better to vote for or vote against, like the last previous time, didn't vote to put Biden as the victor. It speaks volumes. You got to hand it to the person that let this happen, and that was Joe. Joe, big-headedness caused this moment, and so we got to hand it to the person that did a superb job. It has to be said. Commendable job to him. So Biden, you're well deserving of the Super Doc nomination for 2024. You will look back at your legacy and say to yourself, what did I do wrong? Was it because I've been a politician for so many years that I thought that I could get away with whatever, or is it that you were pressured, or was it that your old age came into play here? There's a number of things that he's going to look back on and think, I should have done better, but didn't. And we'll just see with the remaining days in his power what he's going to do next. But if I was him, go out blazing, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Van Cat.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, good. So, the thing with Biden, he created this big loss. And with Trump winning, kind of like what MD says, with Elon Musk, he did a lot of dastardly things, Elon, but you can't really call him a loser at this point. So it's kind of hard to put him as the lame duck when all this Biden shenanigan happening with his cognitive decline and the administration hiding it from the voters and trying to pull a fast one over on everybody. Like, it just was a big mess. And this mess doesn't just affect this election cycle. It looked like it's going to affect a few years to come as the Democrats try to pick up the pieces to this disastrous election cycle. So, Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I can't believe it, but I couldn't deny it myself. I wouldn't be truthful to myself if I didn't put Biden here. So Biden is number 66, lame duck, overall, and he is the second ever super duck. So, any final words here now? Final words from the panel. We'll start with Ricardo. Ricardo, what do you think? Final words.
Yeah, what a very interesting year 2020. We're gonna look back at this and go, what the hell happened? Like, how did this happen, and how did we end up here? But there's a number of people to be blamed for what we're seeing here. And not only that, the ripple effect to all of this is going to be interesting going into 2025. We've seen Syria, ousted or got rid of their leader in Assad. You now have South Korea looking like it's going back into martial law. You have President Trump talking about he's going to bring the National Guard, and the mayors are like, we're not having that. So, and the governors is not having it. That moves forward in terms of his implementation of, rounding up families and getting rid of them if they're not, if they're illegals. There's so much to look forward to for next year, but I can only hope and pray it's a very smoother year than what we had this year. But one can only wish and hope. But very intriguing year. Let's hope this war in Ukraine is over. We're spending too much money going over there. But democracy still reigns. Elon Musk is annoying to me. I don't know why he keeps jumping up and down like he has something to prove. It's getting annoying to me. France looks like they're in trouble. I need them to get it together. All in all, let's just see what happens in 2025. And we're coming back more louder, more outspoken for TFP 2K25.
All right. Thanks, Ricardo. MD, final words on the last episode of the year and Lame Duck and everything else.
To Ricardo's point, man, it's been a hell of a year. A hell of a year. 2025 is going to be the year of the basket. The ducks that'll be in 2025, what we can look forward to, is vast. It's vast. So expect ducks, the lights, in my trunk voice, the lights you've never seen before. It's about to get ready to go down. Ricardo was 100% correct. All these world events that are taking place, Trump ain't even in office yet. That lets you know, ladies and gentlemen, it's about to be hell in a handbasket. I surely hope.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Hey, I surely hope that you got yours, because I got mine. So with that being said, here's the 2025. We'll see y'all in January and look forward to more duck. With that, I say peace.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
All right. Thank you, MD, for that. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight on the second annual Super Duck Spectacular Show, where we find out who is the 2024 absolute worst piece of trash of the year. Super Duck number 2, the Golden Goose, went to your Uncle Joe. For everybody here with Straight Talk Society, I'd like to thank Tequila. I'd like to thank Zay. Of course, Mike. I'd like to thank Jeremy Dunbar for coming by earlier. Peace to Jeremy Dunbar, Mr. Straight Talk, Nini, everyone else at the Straight Talk Society. Of course, the world's most dangerous political panel. You got MD20, you got Ricardo, We'll see you guys next year. And there's going to be a hell of a year, like MD said. So until then, we'll leave you with the roll call of all the lame ducks that we've had up until this point. Uncle Joe is our number 66. What an unlucky number. And peace to everybody. We'll see you next year. Have a great night. Peace.
Peace.
First things first, in this lame duck session, Congress has to prevent a shutdown by funding the government.
When he became the first president in the history of the United States to be indicted on criminal charges.
Just a few moments into his weekly news conference, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell stopped talking mid-sentence and froze.
Republican Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado is apologizing for her behavior at a Denver theater last weekend. It happened at the family-friendly show Beetlejuice. Surveillance video shows Boebert vaping and behaving disruptively with her companion in the theater. They were escorted out. Boebert blamed her actions on her pending divorce.
Can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself? He seems to attract lots of conspiracy theorists.
Well, let me tell you, you're a conspiracy theorist, and the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So,
what about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you talk? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Fired up LULAC members are accusing Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton of using voter intimidation for political gain in a series of recent raids on Democrats.
Let's just say Rudy Giuliani was not happy at all. Now, you know, he's got to pay a massive
issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for crimes against humanity.
You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician. On the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Some people have nicknamed Senator Katie Britt the TikTok trad wife for her performance at last week's Republican response, where she came off as a bit of a caricature of a 1960s housewife.
We are just learning late tonight that former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender to police in Georgia.
Are pointing at a man named Judd Blevins, who was among the crowd that chanted, "Jews will not replace us," that day, and now he is a city commissioner of Enid, Oklahoma.
Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, and black folks find him relatable. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth.
2 weeks ago, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem was widely considered one of the top contenders to be Donald Trump's VP pick. But that all changed after the release of excerpts from her new book that have drawn criticism. One about her killing a hunting dog.
New details in Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing legal battle have been uncovered. The music mogul, who is currently in jail awaiting trial on federal charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution, to which he's pled not guilty, is facing several sexual assault allegations from over 100 people. And now one of his accusers has been revealed to be Anna Cain, the ex-wife of NHL star Evander Kane, in which she accuses Diddy and others of plying her with drugs and sexually assaulting her in a New York City recording studio in 2003 when she was 17. Per TMZ. Combs has since denied her allegations. According to the documents,
of the man who was shot dead at the Trump rally has refused to speak to Biden and says Donald Trump has not reached out to her. Helen Comparatore does not blame Biden for her husband's murder when he died trying to protect his wife and daughter moments before an attempted assassination. Helen says her husband wouldn't have wanted her to talk to him because of their political views, but regardless of her support for Trump, her family has not heard from him since the events unfolded.
She said Kamala has one big advantage. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. No, I couldn't believe it. She said, I had never heard that one. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Mark Robinson has a Trump endorsement, is a conspiracy theorist, has espoused hate, is considered by many to be far more extreme than even the raft of right-wingers who come in under the sort of MAGA Trump era. He has compared gay Americans to, quote, maggots. He has quoted Hitler positively, including in the idea of racial pride in one's own race. That's a quote, a kind of supremacy quote. And he's made many other extreme, lying, hateful, and offensive statements.
A longtime local elected official resigns after he's arrested on charges of accosting a minor. Ken Fletcher, who has served as Delta Township supervisor since 2008, resigned Tuesday.
I have sinned against you, my Lord. And I would ask that your precious blood would wash and cleanse every stain until it is in the seas of God's forgetfulness. Thank you. Thank you.
It's the Trash Bag Human of the Week for the year.
Who will be the 2024 Super Duck?
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.